men. And we're not afraid to say that we love other men.
What up, G?
My life is nothing I thought it should be and everything I was worried it would become, because for 50 seconds I thought there was monsters on the world.
What Augean stable of misery do you live in if you fantasize about driving a bus or sitting on a bench? What's next, a breakfast eating simulator? Oh, careful not to burn your digital toast. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go play an office simulator. Oh, no wait, that's my job.
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis. What? This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Don't say no for an answer. There's no
Can I see more white women getting clotheslined, please?
People don't understand. People don't understand. People like me. Cause these eyes can see right through you. Don't be surprised.
So Snoop Dogg wins the match because Shane McMahon blew his knee out.
Damn, that was bad, bro.
People don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys liked that intro that I played for you guys at the beginning of the show, because after a long period of time, I guarantee you that is the final time that you will see that intro here on this show for the Barroom Podcast. I have a little special treat for you guys here tonight. I'm about to give you guys an exclusive look at our brand new intro that will come later on in the show. I want to tease some of the guys here because nobody except for one guy has seen it here. I just want to live a little bit of build up. I'll let you guys stew in it just for a little while. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and introduce all of our lovely guests who are here for episode 110 of the Barroom Podcast. Joining us here tonight is our good buddy on top, Rob Motto. How you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm doing pretty good. I realized that a lot of people, after seeing Trap, have not seen very many bad movies. So that was an illuminating thing for me over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, MSK is supposed to be joining us here later on tonight to review that movie. He is one of the people who did not like that film, so I think there was going to be a pretty split decision here about people who did and did not like that film. So we do have a couple people on here, but as we get to that, our good buddy Cider, Beyblade appreciator, is that what you're calling yourself here tonight?
Spelled correctly now. Mm-hmm.
So nobody told you that you spent the whole last week with the A instead of the E?
I just changed it before this shit. You're ruining the joke. Damn it. I'm a Beyblade appreciator. You don't get that's funny? You don't find that funny? I find that funny.
I'm very stupid, so it's I don't pick up on these things.
More weird.
Well, I mean, Beyblade was last relevant in 2002, 2001, somewhere like that.
6, I think, was the last time they had a good run.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last time I remember that, it's like the same time like Monster Rancher was out. Anyone remember Monster Rancher?
Yep.
And that was the thing?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
The Demon Girl, very, yeah.
No, I can't remember. All I remember is like some Ash Ketchum knockoff and like some dude with a giant eye. That's all I remember from
I
that
only
show.
remember the bikini-clad demon woman who was trying to fuck the protagonist all the time.
If you're gonna remember something, it might as well be that.
Right?
Yeah, right. Also joining us here, I don't get the what's the deal with the towel? Like, what's this all about?
He's teasing you back.
Taz.
Oh, yeah.
Taz.
Oh, Taz, yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Also joining us here, our good buddy Eddie Brock. How you doing tonight, Eddie?
How you doing, y'all?
Doing pretty well. And shocker, someone who's actually here on time for a show for the first time in several months. Our good buddy Mr. Rick Aragon. How you doing that, Rick?
I'm doing pretty well. I need a haircut. That's why I have the cap on. But this is the Gryffindor. Yeah, well, you can hide most of it. This is the Gryffindor cap.
Yeah.
Because there were 4 for each house, but I only got 3.
Why is your mic worse this week?
Because he doesn't have his right mic turned on, so maybe
go to
you
the
turn
audio source.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay.
He's boomer, so he doesn't know how the technologies work. So. But hey, how you guys doing here? Let's go ahead and introduce you guys waiting for the chat for us as well. Our good buddy Neozoic here with our first couple of questions of the night. He says, hello, barroom crew, good fellas in the chat. First question is, which sequel would you rather watch? The sequel for Terminator which first versus sequel would you rather watch? The first Terminator or the second Terminator movie? Here it is for me, because both movies are totally different, but they're both great movies. The first one is more of like a straight up horror movie. At least that was kind of the original idea, like an 80s horror movie that just became like a huge thing. Then the second film is much more of just a straight up action movie. So it really just depends on which one is more of your style. I say if I go back and I watch it, there's a lot more to appreciate with the first movie, but the second one's just as good. Especially all things considered, the special effects for its time wasn't that bad either. So
they still hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I just really like the minimalism of the original Terminator, and it's just sort of this like funky sci-fi horror movie. And it just, as a kid, for whatever reason, it wasn't that impactful, but I watched it a couple years ago and it is a very good film. Terminator 2 is sort of like the blueprint for sequels, for blockbuster sequels. Like, you got to go bigger, you got to have more stuff in it, you got to have a lot going on. And I think James Cameron just juggles everything so well, up to, like that ending is just, it's pretty heartbreaking. And so, yeah, to me, Terminator 2 just is like, we're going to make it this awesome big movie with everything in it. And it's really hard to go wrong with that one.
Yeah. Cider, what do you think?
The one with the guy that goes through the bars.
So that's the second one.
Yeah, there we go. That. Yeah.
Liquid Metal Man.
Yeah, right.
Orange.
That guy was cool.
Orange.
They should do a reboot where he's the hero. That'd be neat. Like Liquid Arnie.
While Terminator is actually a good film, I give it a lot of props. T2 is the better one, although I do catch the flaws when I watch it now, like saying that this movie is supposed to be taking place in 1995, where John Connor's 10, and yet 1998, or in 3 years, when they're doing the rundown of the timeline, they get that wrong. But overall, I do prefer Terminator 2, specifically the special edition, because it gives you a better reasoning behind the Terminator's need for his chip to be reset.
So timeline reasons, we'll go with that one.
Yeah.
Eddie, what are you picking?
Honestly, I never really sat down and really watched Terminator 1. Like I kept trying to watch it, but I never really got through it.
Get this man
the second
out
one
of the
for me. The second one for me is the best one. It's much more action packed. I like driving like friends who like come from other places like around LA, and like they want to point out places, and I take them to all the places that are in Terminator 2. They love it. And Budnick from Salute Your Shorts is in it.
Oh yeah.
And he is the epitome of what you should do when it comes to the police asking you where your friends are. Yeah, he's over there and pointing them completely to where he's not. Good
Yeah.
job on Budnick telling the cops to go F themselves.
And then you run away before they realize they've been duped. Like that's how you do
Absolutely.
it. But
That's a
Brett,
real
you said that you hadn't finished Terminator 2. I have to give you this one.
Gentlemen, I want you to do me a favor. Remove this cracker from my show.
Excuse me, I am not a cracker. As you look in my little thing there, it says Hispanglo American.
Mm-hmm.
So I am.
Is that like Yokozuna, like Samoan Japanese? Is that,
exactly. I'm Hispanic and Anglo, so I'm Hispanglo American.
What the fuck is a Samoan?
The Samoan is like a Tongan.
Yeah,
Samoan is a WWE wrestler, and there's like a whole
in.
bunch of them. Because apparently, even though they're all fat, they don't know how to pull out. So now there's like 700 of them.
Wasn't there like
The Rock is
wasn't there-
Samoan, for Christ's sake.
Is he or is he Hawaiian? I thought he
No,
was-
he's half
he's
Samoan.
Samoan.
He's black
What the
too.
fuck
I don't know.
is Samoa? I've never heard of it.
Samoa
It's
got
off of
blown
New
up.
Zealand.
There's a
It's
place
off
on
New
Earth
Zealand.
named Samoa.
It's all a variation of like Pacific Islander. So
Large island
okay.
people, yes.
Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman got his law degree from them.
They make great offensive and defensive linemen. I will say that.
Yeah.
Samoa creates the toughest 300-pound guys you've ever seen in your life.
Never heard of it.
Just for the record, there is a place called American Samoa.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Territory.
Don't
be
they get a
fair-
vote in the election or something?
It's the only place
Yeah.
where Joe Biden did not win the primary.
Okay.
To be fair here, Cider's in Maine, so he has no context of what
That's
a
true.
Samoan is. For most of us who've grown up in California, we know Samoans a little too well. Let's just put it that way.
He's
No,
afraid to
they're
talk
very-
to me in
they're
English because
very-
I'm so tan.
They're very popular in Utah.
See,
Right.
Yeah, that exactly.
Don't appropriate my language, Cider.
The whole
Uh,
Pac-12 there, not which doesn't exist anymore, of course, but
Ben
very
Gay.
popular.
But by the way, Rick, which one do you pick in the first Terminator or second Terminator?
Oh, well, yeah, they're both great, but I would go for Terminator 2. 'Cause that one, the special effects are still incredible to look at. All these years later, they have still held up very well. The closing song, which is what Guns N' Roses, "You Should Be Mine," should have won Best Original Song that year. And really, for me, it's what I would put that as one of the great films. Certainly in the sci-fi genre, for me, I think I named it my favorite sci-fi film. For me, the first two are great. I love them both, but I'm going to give the edge to Terminator 2.
Quick little sidebar. Just a quick little sidebar. Do you guys remember the Terminator arcade game, like the really, really old arcade game we were playing like in the 80s and 90s?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did anyone ever beat that game in arcade?
No.
I ran out of money all the time. It was impossible.
That game sucked
never
up
could
so
get-
many quarters.
legend
Man.
has it the only one that did actually beat the game is Donald Trump, and that's why they're trying to kill him. He knows the ending of the game.
I can believe it.
He's got the high score. He's got to die.
The DT-1000 strikes again.
See?
I also like to point out that
He was like, "Oh God, they put a woman in here now. The whole thing's done."
Get that arcade cabinet out of my house.
I also like to point out that Terminator 2 has obviously my favorite pickup line. Every single girl I use it on, "Come with me if you want to live." Works on every woman I've come across.
That's like that implication joke on "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia." They would never say no because of the implication. But never mind. This is
Exactly.
No, with Terminator 2, at least the female heroine, there was a logic as to why she wasn't just like, was it?
No, you're talking about
She was
Terminator
great.
2 or
She was-
Terminator 3.
She was crazy. That's why.
With two.
Gentlemen.
Sarah
gentlemen,
Connor, you mean?
It
Yeah,
was
Sarah
an
Connor.
ejaculation joke. Okay.
Dun 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 dun.
I never saw 3, but I saw the others, and they were all terrible.
You don't need to see any. Look, you don't need to see any other ones outside of the second one. Like they
They've
never
done
exist.
John Connor so wrong in all the other films. Like,
So Neo's bonus question here, just real quick. He wants you to rank all the Die Hard movies. I'll just go ahead and start this off. I have not seen the last two, so I'm not even gonna bother ranking those two. But The first one is good. The second one, not so much. Second one's definitely a drop off, and then the third one is great. So I would go 3, 1, and 2 in the order that I've actually seen them. So Rob, would you agree with that?
Yeah. So I this is a bit controversial, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think the best Die Hard movie is Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I've never liked Die Hard. I think it's like a parody of action movies. I think it's so silly, it's so ridiculous, and I swear to God, if anybody says Die Hard's a Christmas movie, I will throw something at you. Not really.
Oh, I mean, Die
Hard's a Christmas movie.
Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
You
Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie that got released in July.
I fucking did my analysis.
So I'll go 3, 1. Yeah, I'll go 3, 1, 2, 4, 5.
Has anyone else seen? But first of all, has anyone else seen the last 2?
I own all 5, so yes.
I've never seen the third one.
I watch movie franchises I don't like, apparently, for no reason.
Is the fourth one the one with Shia LaBeouf?
Yes.
No.
No.
You're thinking of Indiana Jones.
The fourth one is the
other old guy franchise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
His
The
son,
other old.
Justin
John,
Long is the one in the fourth one.
Yeah, John McClane's son is in, like, I think the 5th one.
Jai Courtney.
But
yeah.
Jai Courtney.
The way that I rate these is the 5th one is the absolute worst. The second one is next. The third one is I like it, but it's number 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. The Die Hard 4, Live Free or Die Hard, number 2 for me, and the original is best. Live Free or Die Hard is actually very good. It's actually very good.
Like I said, I can't argue because I haven't seen them. So
I like number 3 most because it just has a great title: Die Hard with a Vengeance.
That's
a
right.
great title.
That's when you used to have the movie voiceover guy doing all the trailers. They'd be like, Die Hard with a Vengeance. It was like, and then you point to your friend. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go see that fucking movie.
Wasn't Die Hard 2 called Die Harder?
Die Harder, yes.
Tagline?
Yes.
Maybe?
Bruce Willis returns for the summer blockbuster of the century. Brace yourselves. Hold on to every corner of your seat. Die Harder 2, Die Harder is out this summer.
I think part 3 should have been Die Hardest. If you go Die Hard, Die Harder, Die Hardest.
If you turn him into a porn parody, it's about a guy that died with a massive Woody.
I was going to say, brought to you by Viagra.
You go to Die Hard Infinity, Die Hard Infinity +1.
I've
yeah,
seen
go ahead.
only the first 2, so I'm going to go Die Hard and then Die Harder.
Fair enough. If you haven't seen the first,
Well, why don't you go Die Harder then?
Why don't you go Die Hard? It's
we have them in the library, so maybe I'll check those out.
maybe if you play the movie, you'll chase off the homeless people. You ever think about that?
Let's get to this fucking shit, man.
They probably actually start watching.
Leslie Tarkin is here saying hello to all you lovely people. Obviously, Neozoic is here as well. Who else do we got here? Vanya saying hello to you guys here. Boba Fett with his classic Ree to start off the show. Yeah, this is the last time you're going to hear the Ree. I know this is going to be a sad moment for some of you guys. Some of you guys really like the jamming and the tunes, but it's all going to go away. So we'll get to that later on here in the show. Boba Fett says that Terminator is more fun than T2, although they're both all-time great flicks. Top Dog says, question for you. What's your favorite movie at KRS Toy? Wow. I was thinking of KB Toys and Toys R Us at the same time as I said that, which are 2 defunct toy companies. But no, just Toys R Us. My favorite thing about Toys R Us was always going around looking at all the toys that I couldn't buy. That was my best memory of Toys R Us as a kid. I'm not sure if you guys have any fond memories of.
Well, now you can afford them if the store.
I never had a Toys R Us in my area. I live in the fucking mountains.
Yeah,
that's your fault.
I have one. I have one
that's
memory.
My parents' fault.
So I went to Toys R Us like when I was, I don't know, 5 or 6, and I got WWF Raw for SNES, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I promptly threw up all over it in the car ride home. So, but yeah, that was fun. Good game, by the way.
For what it is, for what it is, it was a bad game.
Hey, I liked it. Whatever. It was the grappling system, but yeah. Yep.
It was your body's autoimmune system. Just like
the only game with heart in it too.
Yep. Oh man. I said,
wait, wasn't that? Or wait, is that what game was that?
WWF Monday Night Raw.
PlayStation 1?
No, SNES.
Yeah, was it for the
the acclaimed
version? Then never mind.
Yep.
I had a PS version of WWF game or no, it
okay.
You can create your own wrestler.
That's Attitude.
Yeah,
Attitude is awful.
That one either.
Attitude.
I had Warzone for N64 a couple years later. That was terrible too. Acclaim should have never touched wrestling games.
And you know a game is bad when you feel the exact same weight about it. It's like an 8-year-old as you would like a 30-year-old man. It's like, this shit sucks. I'm never playing this shit ever again.
Yep.
Who else do we have here? Yeah, it said Dope Fett. We got Top Dogs here. Who else do we got here? Alex versus Evil saying hi to you guys as well. Arnie versus Liquid Arnie. Yeah. Terminator Genesis actually did give us Liquid Metal Arnold at the end. Yeah, but nobody remembers that film. Wasn't that also a Jai Courtney film? Why is he been in so much like dog water films too?
Yes, he's not a good actor.
No.
It's all well, actually, the last few Terminator films have had Jai Courtney and Sam Worthington, both who are like, who is the most wooden? Who is the most wooden?
Okay, nobody's gonna remember this, but Jai Courtney was replaced by oh my god, I forget who it was, but in Suicide Squad, like he was supposed to originally be in it, but then he got replaced by, it's not Joel Kinnaman because I don't think he was in it, but it's the other guy I always confused with Joel Kinnaman, whose name I can't remember right now.
Joel Kinnaman was in the first one, right? He was in the first one.
Okay, well,
Joel
maybe
Kinnaman and Jai Courtney were both in the first one.
Well, then I don't know. Then Jai Courtney replaced somebody that was originally cast. I forget what it was, but I remember seeing that. So
that was an improvement.
Oh,
I guess. Weird. I mean, it wasn't.
Why do we even talk about that movie?
Because he brought it up.
Because David Ayer wants to release a special cut or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, fucking release the Ayer cut then, dude.
A special release of what?
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Like
Release the Ayer cut. I swear it's going to be good this time.
Because they already have an extended edition, folks.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it doesn't show any of the fucking things with the Joker doing that bye-bye part. And it's like, where the fuck? Dude, wasn't the Joker supposed to show up or some shit? So I'm watching the extended edition. And it's like, well, it's only a little bit better. That's it.
Yeah.
But it still sucks.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Jared Leto tried to do his full method acting shtick with the Joker in a movie that no one saw, and then half his lines got cut anyway. So it's like,
let me just point this out
for nothing.
Now, just remember, comic book movies were crazy at the time. That movie still made a shitload of money. Like it still made, like, I want to say over $300 million, and that is kind of insane. Now, I'm literally going to check myself, and if I just embarrass myself, I'm going to be like not happy.
Wrecked. He's going to wreck himself.
750 million. Holy shit. So like what that's how different we are. Like how far away we are. Suicide Squad, a piece of shit, but still made $750 million.
Because
whatever you want to say about the current moment, we are not in that world anymore.
Because people flocked to all of these films, regardless of the quality, and now people just don't even care. Now, if you can't get people to go to Harold and the Purple Crayon, you're not going to get them to go to Suicide Squad.
Oh no!
I watched
Harold
like
and the Purple Crayon.
I watched 5 minutes of that today. It's actually not nearly as bad as I thought it would be.
That's probably 5 minutes more than most people.
That's true. I didn't see anyone else.
According to the numbers.
Yeah, no one else was in there.
I'm in the wrong place.
There were ushers. There was ushers in front of the door saying, "I don't think you want to watch this movie."
No, there were ushers that were cleaning up the film 20 minutes early because they knew no one was in there.
They stop me. You're like, "Sir, this isn't the bathroom. It's not the bathroom."
Mm-hmm.
They're smoking in the corner.
Yeah.
But that was a blockbuster film, right? That's what I saw online. The Harold of the Purple Crayon.
No, they
Oh,
gave it a
whoa.
$40 million budget, which is like, why? Like, it's just why? Like, why are you going to invest that much into a movie, but you're not going to put anything in the marketing? Because most people didn't even know the film was even out, not know the name of it. So, like, that seems to be your biggest problem. So,
Well,
I
it
know
looked
the-
like
I know
If,
the-
that Ryan Reynolds movie that came out earlier this year, and so it was like, I don't think they marketed it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, isn't If now going to be like on streaming? One of those.
Yes.
Who knows?
My nephew wanted to watch it this past weekend, and luckily we watched Airport 75 instead.
Well, look,
Airport 75 or Airport 77, or are there two?
Both. I watched both of them. Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, there was like 4 of them.
Yes, my
And
son.
I think George Kennedy is the only one to be in all 4.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old nephew loved airports.
Yeah, so I told MSK that he could jump on earlier to talk about this trap movie. So let's get through a couple of topics here first and kind of knock these out. I know probably a lot of you guys haven't watched too much of the Olympics, especially after our show last week. Why would you? But the story that's been dominating all the headlines here is this boxer who we're still not completely 100% sure if it's actually a woman or not. I mean, the story keeps changing like every 5 seconds about what exactly is going on with this individual. So the latest news, I'll go ahead and pop this one up here for you guys, is that the latest news for this whole thing is that the fighter has alleged to have a male chromosomes and defeated the 3rd consecutive female boxer to advance to the gold medal round. So this is the person, this is the picture of the person who we're told is biologically a woman, maybe. That's where we're at here. So here's where this whole thing started. Last week, when this whole thing started, this individual fought a boxer from Italy. And literally landed in one punch. The female boxer said, "Nope, I'm not doing this," and literally tapped out of the fight. So the woman lost, and everyone was like, "Okay, what the hell is going on here? Is this a trans person? Is this like a he, she? Is it intersex? Like, what is the actual story going on here?" Like, the story has changed multiple times. At first, people were saying that no, she's a biological woman, but she failed the gender test, and that's why there's so much confusion. It's like, what the hell does that mean? And then it was like, oh no, she's intersex, so she's not really fully human, and I mean not fully human, fully man. That was not intentional, but it played out perfectly.
Extraterrestrial.
Yeah, right. She's not truly. She's not all man, not all woman. She's somewhere kind of in between, and it's like, so on paper, what you're telling me is that she somehow like magically compiles this whole thing's confusing. So now there was I think the commission came in and they made a statement saying that, if she has female on her driver's license, she's always lived as a woman, and who are we to tell her that she's not a woman? And it was like, well, that's not the metric of how you figure out who a woman is. So this person apparently took a gender test, failed it, and based on the gender test that they took, came back as biologically male. So I don't know if like this person is just like a failed science experiment to the point where she has like, what's that stupid Pat character from like the 90s or whatnot. I don't know if he has like one of those things going on.
Yeah, it was
but
Pat.
Yeah. So for any of you guys who have watched the Bible Lens on Sunday night, you guys know that I'm not good at pronouncing names that aren't American, so I'm just going to call this person Imane. Is an Algerian boxer who failed a gender test administered by the International Boxing Association in 2023. So it was just last year. Through thoroughly dominated Thailand, man. You beat up a Taiwanese woman. This is wrong. Thus vanquishing another female opponent in order to clinch the gold medal round. This person has dominated all 3 rounds on Tuesday and has struggled to cope with the range of disadvantage between her and the far greater opponents. So they admit that this person also has an exuberant amount of testosterone as well, which is not typically something that you would associate with a female. That's another thing. It was like, well, if you have that much testosterone, hormone in your body or you produce that much, you probably shouldn't be boxing women to begin with. But like I said, this is just an absolute disaster from top to finish. So this person is going to be in the gold medal boxing event, which I'm assuming is going to be here in a couple of days when this whole thing wraps up. But yeah, you can see the celebration here. I don't think I could play any of the actual videos because the Olympics are being really harsh on any kind of videos being shown on streams with their content. Thanks, dicks. She's person has been at the center of this whole situation. The IBA president, Umar Khelif, Kimli, I'll just put it that way, explained his organization's decision to disqualify Taiwan and Algeria's from boxers by competing in the women's world basketball championship. According to the Russia agency news here, it says, based on DNA tests, we identified a number of athletes who tried to trick their colleagues into posing as women. According to the results of this test, it proved that they have XY chromosomes. With such athletes were excluded from competition, Krimlov said in the act. So this was the International Boxing Association that said that this person is not allowed to compete against women under our rules and regulations, but apparently that does not apply to the Olympics, who said, you know what, go ahead and do it. So this is where we're at right now, right? So like I said, the next I just read it. He literally wrote it on here. The next victim was Hungary's Anna. Brutal. That's written right in the article. Luca Hamorti, who was fight with the distance, but the judges gave it to. Yeah, fight went 5-1 on a comprehensive victory. The international outrage has erupted based on this whole story. However, the International Olympic Committee has backed the Algerian and insists that all gender requirements to complete as a female have been met. That still does not help. Like, listen to what they said there. All gender requirements to compete as a female has been met. That's not saying 100% that this person is a legitimate woman and there should be no other conversation outside of that, right? And it says everyone competing in the women's category is complying with the competition's eligibility rules. There are women in their passports. It is stated you're not helping your case, sir. You are not helping this case whatsoever. So this is where we're at now. We cannot say for 100% certainty if this person is legitimately a woman or legitimately a man. I link it back to the old Ron White joke of, hey, I'm smart, but you can't prove it on paper. And that's kind of where we're at here with this whole situation.
Well, first, I'd like to point out that in U.S. passports, you can mark an X. You can mark male, female, or X. So marking a female on, I guess, a foreign passport is apparently not solid proof that this person would. I don't know. This is strange. I'm still puzzled on that gender test. Normally, I would imagine a gender test is just to disrobe and show whether you have a penis or a vagina.
They did a chromosomal. The gender is a chromosome test.
Right. Gender test is something I've never thought I would hear in my lifetime. There it is.
I know.
Like if I recall, Russia had to do one on Brittany Griner to confirm that she was actually a woman, because obviously if you've seen her voice and her body, nothing about her whatsoever screams female, but they had to do something to confirm.
Pops.
Yeah, that's a whole, situation in and of itself too.
Chromosome test on that woman too.
Well, the response by the other side, like just the response of the people, like, she's a woman, blah blah, like all this shit, and it's like when you point out the obvious, like, okay, it's like, okay, so like let's just start there. Why does she have XY chromosomes? Okay, why? You know what I mean? Why does she have 20 times the testosterone level of average competing boxing female? You know what I mean? And it's like you get into it, and it's like if she is technically a woman, it's like she still has XY chromosomes. So at best, she's what, intersex, which is a thing. These things do exist in nature, but it's like, okay, why the lack of transparency around this? To me, that's the whole thing. Olympics should be about competition, about a fair, competitive, level playing field, exactly. And that is not what this is. And so you can cheer it on for equality and whatever, but it's like these are women who are not that are getting beaten up in competition. It's not an evil level playing field. It's not. And so they're the ones putting themselves in this situation where it's like, okay, if you're not going to speak up, this will continue to happen because you can. Did you see the knots they tied themselves into trying to not, jumping through those hoops of, it's like, okay, if you're trying that hard to say that person's a woman, maybe there's something else going on here, because obviously you should just be able to say clearly, that's a man, that's a woman, that's a man, that's a woman.
I've covered
it
this.
Shouldn't be that complicated.
I've covered this on my channel, on my streams. She's a fucking hermaphrodite, folks. She is both male and female. Or when she failed the gender test due to the fact of possessing XY chromosomes, she is genetically male. She is physically female. She has female genitalia. She probably has internal testes. She can't, or her body can't process testosterone, so it builds up excessively in her body, which gives her masculine features. It really is that fucking simple. Everybody's saying intrasex. What the fuck is intrasex? It's fucking hermaphrodism. We actually need to recoin that phrase, because she is both male and female. Now, her failing the gender test, the chromosomal test, is the reason why she couldn't frickin' compete in the world championships. However, a lot of people started getting on fucking on that. I fucking don't, because that woman is all for men beating on women in the fucking ring. She said after she lost, I am not doing this out of protest. I hope she goes on and I hope she wins. And all these fucking people who were donating to give money to Angela Carini, who are claiming to be conservatives, you fucking morons, including you, Riley Gaines. As much as I think you are a champion for women's rights, you fucking just supported a cause or a person who supports men participating in female sports. But with Imane Khelif, she is a fucking hermaphrodite. She is both male and female, genetically male, physically female. Now, if they were to give her surgery, remove her balls or cut off her balls from the inside, and also give her medications to regulate her testosterone levels, I guarantee you her body would eventually respond to that and she would be weaker. But yes, she is both male and female. And people saying, oh, she's this, she's that. I hear fucking black conservative perspective, fucking Tim Pool and all these other fucking people. None of them actually say what she really is, because I guess it's a taboo or something to fucking say hermaphrodite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the fucking Olympics. It's based on a Greek competition. Hermaphrodism is actually fucking Greek origin. Fucking call her what she is. She's a fucking hermaphrodite.
And that's the big point of contention here, because earlier on people were like, okay, so see, she's trans, she's not trans, and people spent the entire week arguing on that. Let's say arguing on that level. Yeah, people like Logan Paul getting into trouble because he protested against this whole thing, and then everyone came after him about, but she's not trans though. But it was like, I don't think the argument here is like whether she's actually trans. The argument here is that does she actually qualify for being a woman? And it seems like there's at least a couple other agencies out there that say no. So how is she in the Olympics fighting against other women, right? People jump on this whole like side of like, oh well, like it doesn't matter. It's like, well, if it doesn't matter, then why isn't she fighting dudes? So it does matter on some level. So let's not pretend like that there's nothing like here when there's clearly something wrong here. And look, if the women in the boxing, her opponents, to put it that way, have no problem about getting their faces broken by this individual. I mean, hey, if you don't better than you, then I guess it don't matter to me either. But somebody's gonna say that this is just messed up on a few levels. But I mean, hey, look, welcome to 2024. It's almost the end, so let's put it that way.
Well,
the
it's like you said, though.
Olympics also has a lot of other shit going on. I mean, there's
as we've talked about,
Belgian pedophile. There's a freaking Belgian pedophile or somebody fucking in the Olympics too.
Well, yeah, I think there was didn't some girl from Paraguay get kicked out of her Olympic compound because she was quote unquote partying too hard? I was like, how do you whore yourself out of the Olympics? How the hell does that happen? I didn't even know that was even possible.
Pregnant.
The thing is that the Olympic competitors have a standard. That's why you don't see like Ronda Rousey becoming a boxer in the Olympics, up until this point. Now she probably can. But before now, they did not pitch. You had a standard for who could be a boxer. A female boxer was not meant to be in body mass or like physical presence the size of Mike Tyson. That's what she failed. That's what she failed for the Olympic standard. On top of the gender test, she failed the testosterone test because that's the limit. You can have a woman walk in there, and it's not that they're testing for juicing. You can find a genetic precursor, just like Orange Hat was talking about. I was going to call him the Shroud. You were the Shroud was talking about here. The situation is that by the Olympic standards, she's been disqualified once before. Whether she sits down to pee genetically or not, she did not meet the standard. However, now that we're inviting Satan into the middle of the Olympics, we might as well make sure Ishtar feels comfortable too.
Might as well. Why not, right?
You mean the terrible movie made by Elaine May in the 1980s? Yeah,
Yep.
that is a demon straight from hell. I completely agree.
Oh yeah, I did review that one for Summer Under the Stars for Warm Dating Night.
But I just love the contrast of like Rob's mic to Rick's mic right now. It's just so hilarious.
I'm gonna buy you one. I'm literally going to buy you a microphone, and just because so we don't have to deal with your setup again.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anyone like figured out the idea that her name literally is a man?
Yep.
You mean the Arabic translation?
Imane Khelif. Yeah.
Yeah. Her name is a man. It's like
it's almost as if someone's just rubbing it in your face at this point.
It's scary. It's scary. Like, first off, they're probably going to create more of these kinds of like Olympians, because that whole area, we nuclearized that whole section of the world anyway. So there's going to be a lot of strange looking people coming out of that time. And of course, hermaphrodites and things like that, natural, they're going to become athletes and they're going to become Olympians at some point. So this is going to become more.
She's rare even for her hermaphrodite.
Right.
She's actually
Dude
very
versus
rare.
dude light.
The type of hermaphrodite she is rare.
And secondly, like, we should be scared, like really scared of these people from Turkey and Algeria, because one's a hermaphrodite that can beat the crap out of all of our chicks, and the other one is literally a hitman who's taking out people and saving his cat. So, like, Algeria and Turkey are like scary places nowadays. I'm really
Algeria,
worried.
I would describe as like what is it, French Arabia?
Yeah.
Because it's like you have two cultures, kind of like commingling or whatever. And
it was a French colony, Algeria.
Yeah.
And the Battle of Algiers is a great film.
Yep.
So is the Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, but that was that wasn't more in Turkey.
A little further east.
Yeah, closer to Turkey.
Oh, I was talking about Turkey, and they have killers there too. So,
but I heard people were saying, "Hey, why would Algeria send a trans person to represent them?" And it's like, you really think countries are above, like, you know what I mean? Like, going against whatever.
Why would a country like Algeria have questionable moral standards? It's
right.
like, well,
it's just like, I mean, it's not that hard to figure out.
It's like French. They're freaks.
We had to check them for any type of chemical enhancement, then any type of physical enhancements. Okay. So like they were sending bionic people for a little while there, where they were enhancing their joints and shit. So yeah, no.
Well, keep in mind, Russia is still somewhat banned, quote unquote, from the Olympics because they had like a massive doping scandal where it's like, oh yeah, all of their athletes were on the juice. Like even
Ivan Drago's coming out of everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not out of
the issue since East Germany with their swimmers, when there was an East Germany, and the swimmers were very questionably
hairy.
Yes,
but that's just because they're East European.
But yeah,
has anything good ever come out of Germany? Has anything good ever come out of
Before
Germany?
we move on, can I
A lot
have you
of things.
put Orange Hat center stage?
Besides the hamburger. All right, here we go.
Hamburger, 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 hum. Hamburger, 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 hum. Hamburger, 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 hum. Hamburger, hamburger, hamburger.
cheeseburger, 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 Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac, Whopper, 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 hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper.
Okay, we're done. That's fine.
That joke works on multiple levels because one, Orange doesn't get the reference that that song is from.
It's so fun. Like it's just random and absurd. Like I don't know what that's from, and I was laughing.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's the whole situation. She's just beating up women, and everyone's okay with it. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, if you guys don't care, then we don't care.
I think that these Olympics have just been very bizarre. I mean, just starting out with Marie Antoinette singing heavy metal without her head,
the whole welcoming of the Antichrist thing,
the bearded lady,
Grim
Clark
Reaper on the fucking horse.
You had Clark Kent Jr. on the pommel horse. The Turkish.
And them prophesizing a quarter of the population dying horribly.
And then
them putting pants on volleyball players.
Yeah, that was probably the most egregious out of them all, for being completely honest. Which is like once they took away. Once they took away beach volleyball, it's like, okay, we're done here. Like, what are we doing?
So far, one of the less odd moments is when that French guy knocked over the pole vault with his penis. So it's like we're just really bizarre in this whole Olympics. I don't even want to know what the closing ceremonies are going to look like. Apparently, Tom Cruise is supposed to jump out of the plane and give the flag to Los Angeles. That would be one of the more rational moments if that actually did happen.
The only thing I know about the Olympics so far is that there's this cute little 24-year-old with an amazing body, but she sounds like Mickey Mouse. And it's like all things put together, it's like I can make a pass.
Is that British girl?
No, she's from the Netherlands.
Oh, there's that British girl. She's apparently faster than the other people, and I was surprised that she was faster than the other people.
You know what's hilarious about that is that so she won, and then all the white nationalists types was like, oh yeah, white girl summer, and then they immediately found out her boyfriend was black and turned on her within an hour. It was just
classic
hilarity to see.
This has been great. This has been great for the Philippines. They've won more Olympics in this year than any other in their history. The Irish are also doing well, and St. Lucia got their very first Olympic medal ever. So there's that. More power to them.
Well, I just want to go ahead and just say this right now. If you guys notice here, I didn't mention this a little earlier, our background tonight is Around the Horn, because as me and Rob talked about this earlier, this little ESPN show called Around the Horn, which we used to watch for quite a long time until they put a bunch of hacks on there like Sarah Spain. And then what happened is that apparently after 22 years, I want to say, after being on the air, the show's being canned because really no one has watched it since 2009. That's kind of where it's been now. So I guess there's a little bit of a tribute to Around the Horn. I'll play this as we talk about our next story here. Here's a little nostalgia for you, Rob. Yeah, there we go. So here's the next story. Zack Snyder, his film flopped again. So Zack Snyder did, I guess, another director's cut on Netflix about a film that nobody saw. So Rebel Moon, he released part 1 and part 2, and people hated them both. And then he told everyone, no, don't wait, people, because I got a director's cut. Now everything's going to make sense. So there was a 3.5-hour director's cut he released there. The reviews have not been that much better than the other two. That sucked, the whole grand scheme of things. The Rotten Tomatoes scores have been absolutely terrible here. Some of his worst rated stuff ever is on here. And those are both the director's cut, too, by the way. So it only made the film marginally better. No Zack Snyder's Justice League, in fact, here. And here's where we're really at with Zack Snyder at this point. Everyone is turned on him. No one really truly likes this guy. And we're at a point now where he probably doesn't have much the goal to hang on to at this point. He's in talks about doing a 300 series on television, but at the same time, it's like, who's really, really into this at that point? Who really, really wants that in 2024? This may be the last run for our good buddy Zack Snyder here. So, Rob, I'm going to go ahead and start this one off with you. What is your thoughts on Zack Snyder? Do you think his career is done now after the massive flop of Rebel Moon?
I assume you're asking me since the internet cut out for me just now. Yeah, look, I have been somebody who defends Zack Snyder before. I like some of his movies. I own some of his movies. But I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I don't know what he's doing anymore. It doesn't seem like he has a clear vision. I really like his Dawn of the Dead remake. I think Watchmen is still the best superhero comic book movie adaptation ever made. I honestly believe that. I think it's great. You know, I actually enjoyed his extended Justice League movie. I enjoyed Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice even. So I know I am aware, but him making a Star Wars ripoff for Netflix after everybody kind of like rejected him for the most part, it's like I can appreciate it, but it was a dud. And you know, you making a more violent, more sex-filled director's cut, it's like you're just giving people more than what they, you know, you're giving them more of what they already don't want. So I think maybe he should take a step back into like a producer role. I think he should, you know, but it's like he saw himself like as a Spielberg or as a Christopher Nolan, where he was the brand. And I'm sure he would reject that. I'm sure he'd be like, oh, that's bullshit or whatever. But and he tried to do that weird fence sitting of like, oh, I'm for my fans, but I'm not gonna trash Warner Brothers, even though they treated him like shit. And they pulled that really bullshit move after his daughter committed suicide, which again, I feel bad for the guy. I know he's been through a lot. I know him and his wife have been through a lot, but at a certain point, you know, you're just not producing. You're not producing a product that people want. And it's at this point diminishing returns. So I hope he makes another good movie someday, but yeah, it's good. And you know, it mostly is it is a panel by panel, like shot for shot adaptation, with the exception of the ending. And you know, there is no giant squid, but so and again, I love the graphic novel, so you know, I'm all in on that property. But yeah, Zack Snyder needs to go do something else for a while.
Yeah, asking Neil's question here. Do you think this is his worst movie? I wouldn't say it's his worst movie, but the problem is, and this is where he's at right now, is that he's just had so many stinkers, one after another, that this is just another mark on his record at this point. And look, I've said this when I saw, was it the Zack Snyder's Justice League, after the whole campaign about getting that whole thing released, and it was 4 hours long, and I was like, look, as a 4-hour movie, yes, it is much better than the first one, but here's the problem. What you've proven is that Zack Snyder, as a director, does not have the ability to edit his stuff into a viewable feature film. Let's just put it that way. It's like, if all your stuff has to be 3.5, 4 hours long because you don't have the ability to tell a proper story in a 2-hour allotted time period, maybe you shouldn't be in movies anymore. Maybe you should go do miniseries. Like, if you need that much time to tell a good story, maybe TV is where you should be now. Maybe that should be his next project, where he can actually have instead of, you know, a 9-hour film, just do 9 episodes of a series that plays out, and it's much easier to consume, and people won't hate it as much. Maybe that's the route that you need to go. Because
is that your argument for Kevin Costner in his 7 episode Horizon?
First of all, it was 4 episodes, and the second one's apparently been suspended indefinitely because the first one did terribly. So, yeah.
I did hear like Netflix picked it up and they're going to end up distributing it, or it's going to go to HBO Max or something. But I know Chapter 2 is going to premiere at Venice here in September. But yeah, I actually, here's the thing. I really love, like, Zack Snyder is too indulgent. Okay, you can be indulgent as a visual artist, as a director, but and that's the thing, like, I loved so much of what he did with the action and the movement in those comic book movies. But again, you're spending way too much time. It's too, like, you're too much of a fan with your own material for it to work. You know what I mean? There's got to be some distance, some judgment, some discernment on when to, like, cut in a hard cut. You know what I mean? And so, I just think that's evident with his last movies, where it's like, nobody's telling you no, and someone needs to. And I'm the one who constantly argues for, you know, creative limits, you know, being taken off of directors and allowing them to create their vision. Not when it's this much of a mess. Not when it's this much of a. It's a 4-hour. Oh, it's a 2-part. You know, 5-hour thing. It's like, please, just get to the fucking point.
Yeah, please. Snyder, Snyder, what is your thoughts on Zack Snyder here? Do you think that his run is over, if he even had a run to begin with?
I've never liked his movies. I am the one that goes around and says Zack Snyder can't make a movie without 16 Instagram filters. And he has to piss all over the film too, just to make sure it's that adequate urinal cake color. You know, I want to make sure that you really get that urinal cake yellow all over your film. And I've never seen a Zack Snyder film that entertained me. You know, most of the stuff that he was putting out when he was like in what people consider his golden age, his heyday, I was a teenager, so I was just using it as like, let's go make out in a theater where adults can't see us. And whatever the hell was happening on screen was happening because I didn't care, all right? Because Zack Snyder doesn't produce stuff that's Sucker Punch, great. A bunch of crazy girls are being raped by the doctor and they're fighting mechanical samurai to work it out. I don't care. It just didn't grab me. It felt like a Silent Hill side mission. You know, and all I did was I just took pretty girls in there and I was like, let's make out. They're like, oh, that's cool. And that's what we did. Then 300 came out, and that was the same thing. We just went in there, and then there was a bunch of half-naked guys, so the girls were ready to go. I mean, you pick the winners, fellas. Just pick the winners, okay? But yeah, I've never seen a Zack Snyder movie that impressed me. When they handed him the Superman movie, that was atrocious. It's Sad Man, that's what I call him, is Sad Man. That is a horribly depressed character that can't bring himself to smile to save his life.
But
And then they had Batman versus. Well, it's okay. There's different interpretations for everybody. But then they.
Well, he loves Kevin Spacey too, so on the grain of salt. Grain of salt.
Brought in Batman versus Superman, and that just kind of doubled down on the whole Zack Snyder hates the universe thing. Like, this man cannot possibly bring himself to see positivity in anything. I'm pretty sure you deliver him a piece of cake, and he's going to try and find a way to be like, a child died in the process of this. You know.
That's right.
And. It's very sad.
Eddie, I want your take on this one because you have a lot of opinion on the Zack Snyder guy over here.
I absolutely despise Zack Snyder. I find him to be a hack Snyder. I call him behind his back. He has an Snyder.
You talk to him face to face, or
I talk to him face to face.
Is it all the conversations behind his back by that?
Yeah, exactly. I talked to him
with us right now.
I looked at his face and I said, "Listen, you hack. You're a garbage director, and you don't know how to tell stories correctly."
Look, I told that bitch Scarlett Johansson behind her back that
exactly.
I mean, he said, "That's great. I'll have fries with that."
The best time to talk about somebody is behind their back. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, but like, I never enjoyed Zack Snyder. 300 is probably the only movie I even know he directed. You just brought that up to me. Made me remember that. And yeah, that was a great comic book movie, I guess. I just remember the meme, and like, you know, like I don't find him entertaining. I just yeah.
I have not seen Army of the Dead yet, but I know Dave Bautista's in that film, which makes me not want to watch it. So
it's not good. Really, it's terrible.
I don't want to either. That's another thing. Yeah. He assigned himself with a bunch of douchebags on top of it. Like he attracts toxicity. I attract toxicity, but he attracts.
Now you're sounding like a feminist, all right, man. It's like let's pump the brakes.
He's a little bit problematic for my liking,
right?
Yeah,
but I mean, like I said, my whole thing against Snyder is that, you know, he's used this whole director's cut as like a sticking point to somehow try to make up for his terrible movies, as if somehow the movies that the studios keep releasing are just awful. But if we just let him do his full vision, then somehow it would be really good. But then you see his full vision, it's like, okay, that was only marginally better than the movie that we actually got in the first place. So maybe it's not the studio that's the problem here. Maybe it's just you.
And I just want to point this out. Like, Martin Scorsese does this all the time. Mm-hmm. The studios he works with hates the fact that he's going to make a 3.5 hour movie. And like, just to be clear, most of his movies don't make a huge profit, if any profit. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't even break even. Killers of the Flower Moon did not break even. And yet he's still allowed to make movies because there's enough people who want to see what he makes, right? Mm-hmm. Zack Snyder's not even there. He's not even on that level. And so again, I visually, I do think he is a talented artist, but you guys are right. He's very much attached to not like a nihilistic, darker worldview that doesn't have a whole lot of upside to it. You're absolutely right on that. And that's probably why I loved him so much as a younger man, because those are the things I was. And now that I'm not as drawn to that, hey, guess what? I'm moving away from him, but he's also made crappier movies, so that it's easier to do that. So that's kind of my last thought on that.
I'll give him a little bit of leeway just because his directing class that he came up with is stellar, with Alexander Payne and Christopher Nolan. Like his class that he came up with is like a really stellar class. So it's not like he got caught in the shuffle, but he got caught in the shuffle in the corporate way that nobody wants to deal with or nobody wants to buy into anymore. So
yeah, I think after I watched Army of the Dead, what was it called? That's the zombie movie we did.
Yeah.
I contemplated getting The Rope that night because that movie was just not it, man.
Well, first of all, I hadn't even introduced you to the group yet, so nobody knows who the hell you are. But joining us here is our good buddy MSK, Master Squad Clean. He's joined us for our next topic. But before we get to that, just quick thoughts on Zack Snyder as a filmmaker.
I've only really seen the superhero stuff: Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League, Army of the Dead. Man of Steel is certainly a movie. It's certainly one of them. It's certainly that. BVS is also potentially a superhero movie of some sort. And then, you know what? I actually thought about this at work yesterday. I was like, his Justice League is just the theatrical one with just added scenes. It's really all it is. You know? It's just a slightly different ending because, you know, Steppenwolf and all that stuff. But it's really not that much different. Like, I remember when that movie dropped, everyone was like, best super movie ever made. And I was like, okay, the internet's smoking crack today, I guess. He's the only guy.
He had to add 2 hours to that movie to make it watchable. Like that's a problem.
Yeah. The Joss Whedon one was really bad, though. I'm sorry. Like it was
fair
really
enough.
bad.
Honestly,
fair enough.
Yeah, like he's the only director where you actually kind of understand where the studio's coming from. He's the only person that you can do that for. With a studio, I can understand why they wouldn't want someone like that around him. He's just like, I don't know, like he kept bragging about director's cuts and all this gay shit people talk about movies. Like, we gotta respect the art form. Oh, fuck off. This dude going in. First of all, why are we releasing rated R cuts on a streaming service? You could just freely release what you want. They allow you to do whatever you want on a streaming service with no restraints at all. There's no overhead of a theater and what they have to abide by based on like.
We don't want an NC-17 Justice League movie. Like, I don't think you want that.
Remember, his fans thought that Netflix would actually shell out money for DC characters to get Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. That was actually a thing that happened a few years ago. People forgot that. Like, people are insane. Just
Orange Hat, you want to close this one out?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, no. Read the damn thing right here. But anyway.
We have to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. It says ring wraith in a tank top. God damn, people.
Nobody can see that.
They're all terrible.
But anyway, folks.
They're terrible.
As I was silence. Anyway. I didn't watch the freaking Netflix shit, but when it comes to Zack Snyder, he's a visual spectacle storyteller. He does visual spectacles. That's basically all he has going for him. 300 was okay. Watchmen was pretty fucking good. But as his movies age, they tend to show their flaws. And while I actually do like his DC universe, I'm not the biggest fan of his 4-hour one. I mean, I actually fast forward through a lot of the boring shit. I honestly do think that it is a lot better than the one that Joss Whedon did. That fucking pervert. But yeah, him putting out director's cut of movies that nobody fucking asked for because people are kind of getting off the Star Wars kick, so they don't really want to see a Star Wars adjacent film anymore because Disney's kind of fucking ruined that. So, not to mention, he's also jumping on fucking political topics and giving his opinions, and it's like, dude, nobody asked you. Shut the fuck up. You're turning your fan base against you. And then there was that fucking Geeks and Gamers shit, which I'm not even going to fucking touch with a 10-foot pole. But
it certainly
Zack
didn't
Snyder's got to. No, it didn't. But he's got to learn that, dude, step back from the visual spectacle, refine your art, refine your talent, and you'll actually have a good fucking movie sometime. Honestly, he should he's considering finishing out his DC universe in the animated form. And I was saying this shit like after his Justice League came out. It's like, finish your shit in fucking anime form or animation form. And everybody's like, oh, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And then he comes out this year or last year saying, yeah, maybe I should. And it's like, yeah, fuck all of you who fucking told me that shit. Because you honestly think that it would be the smarter thing. Less budget. You're not paying the people to act. You're paying for their fucking voice. So, yeah, he has the potential to finish his shit. And maybe fucking douchebag, what's her name, that beat up on Johnny Depp can make a buck or two from her voice. Yeah, that thing.
Well, I tell you guys what.
Those are my thoughts.
I tell you guys what. Think about this question as we go on to our break here. Who has made better movies, Zack Snyder or M. Night Shyamalan? Sit on that one for a second. All right, then. So now let's get into the movie review portion of this one. So you guys who are still waiting to see the intro, you got just a little bit longer to go. Then we'll show you guys the intro that I worked on. I'm going to make you guys stew, so you just sit down and wait. But before we get in that, let's talk about the latest movie from M. Night Shyamalan. Now, before I let you guys go in on this film particularly, let's kind of rewind here just for a quick second. It was only a few years ago that people thought that for a quick second, M. Night Shyamalan might be back. Remember, it was 2016. It was his film Split. And it was surprisingly a pretty decent movie that a lot of people liked. And it turned out that it was actually a sequel to his first film, Unbreakable. So everyone was like, oh, okay, well, everyone's so hyped to see his next movie, which is going to be Glass. It's going to be him and Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis and James McAvoy. This is going to be awesome. Then Glass came out and everyone's like, oh, well, that was a film that certainly happened. And then that was pretty much it. Like, everything went out the window. It's like, nope, we're right back to the same M. Night Shyamalan we had gotten before. His films came out afterwards was the film Old, which is about people aging on an island. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that was a terrible movie. It certainly wasn't good. It was something that was like right in the middle for me. But then you had last year's Knock at the Cabin, which is the film about the two gay couples. The gay couple who had to essentially profess their love to one another and sacrifice one another in order to save the world from the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And that film made one of the top 10 worst films of last year. That film was absolutely horrible. So when I heard that there was going to be another M. Night Shyamalan movie, I was like, oh, great, more crap. And that was kind of what I was expecting. Had very, very low expectations going into this movie. I can say, at least on my end, I was pleasantly surprised. I feel like we're going to be evenly split here with the people who have seen this movie. Let's go ahead and start off with you, MSK, because you're the guest here. You got limited time anyway. So go ahead and tell people about what you had a problem with this film called Trap. I guess I should give you guys the quick rundown here before I let you go. This is a movie that's essentially about a father and his teenage daughter. They're going to a concert to see a woman named Lady Raven, who I guess is like this universe's Taylor Swift, if we're being somewhat fair in that aspect here. So it's a teenage girl going to see, a concert of the latest pop star. The dad's looking around. He notices that there's a whole lot of police officers there, and they're just randomly pulling people out of the crowd. So he thinks it's something suspicious. And come to find out, the entire concert is a trap because they figured out by some reason that the serial killer, who is known as the Butcher, is going to be attending this show. So they set a trap for him so that he could not leave the arena under any circumstances whatsoever. It just so happens to be that our character, Josh Hartnett, is in fact the Butcher of the film. Now, MSK, without going into full spoilers here, just kind of give your rundown of what you thought of the movie and kind of your thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan as a filmmaker.
God, well, he made The Happening, which is in my top 10 worst movies ever made, because the villain of that movie was Plant Air. And I was like, okay, that only he can do that. Where the villain of the movie, I shit you, I don't care about spoiling it. The Happening villain is plants and air. I shit you not. So I went in my head out thinking, you know what? I've seen parts of The Last Airbender from him, which was, not good. Parts of After Earth. I was at a friend's house, so I wasn't really paying attention. I knew he directed them. And I was like, you know what? I'll give him a chance. I never seen some of his best work. I seen a trailer for it, and all because this doesn't even count as a spoiler because it's in the trailer. It's revealed that he's the serial killer in the trailer. That's not even a spoiler. So I thought to myself, okay, he's not that stupid. No way you give that away in a trailer. I was like, I even gaslight myself into thinking that. No way he's that stupid. With a movie like this, you would tell the person who's the fucking killer in the trailer. And yes, he did. I shit you not, go watch trailer 1 of this movie. Just trailer 1. That's all you watch. Just 1. You've seen the whole movie. You've literally seen the entire movie in the first trailer. He is the reason why people don't go back to the fucking movies anymore. Even if you just don't even watch the trailer, this movie has just contrived dialogue. He's known for his twists, right? This movie has one of the dumbest twists I've ever seen in a movie. Absolutely the worst. Whenever let him get spoilers and everyone else can talk, I will explain why this is one of the worst twists ever. And when you get to the third act, and the actual twist, even him being the serial killer, it's something else that happens with another character, and they try to force at the end of the movie when we barely even know who the character is. This is bad. This is the reason why people don't go to the movies. If you don't even watch this, go watch Deadpool and Wolverine again. Go watch that Zachary Levi movie. Go watch Despicable Me 4 with the kids again. This is just not good. The movie fucking sucks.
You're putting over Purple Crayon over this movie. Okay, I will say this though, just real quick. I will say this. People, when they first saw the trailer to this movie, everyone thought the twist was going to be that, the daughter's the real killer, right? So that was what the whole twist is going to be, which I thought to myself that there's no way that the twist of the movie is going to be that predictable. It's like, it's no way that it's going to, because if it turned out to actually be that, I told people in chat, I was going to give this film a 0 out of 5, just out of that alone. The movie might have been decent, but if that was the actual twist, I would give it a 0 just out of principle.
You know how people keep saying, the reason why they don't go watch movies sometimes, not because they're bad or they're woke or anything, it's because they reveal so much in the trailer. Trailers could be 2 or 3 minutes long. This movie, let's watch the first trailer. He's the killer. And it's you think okay, he's not that stupid. No way someone does that. That's just borderline dumb. And no, he does. He's actually that stupid. People go to these movies to find out who the killer is, and he puts in the trailer. What the fuck?
I mean, this is basically an elevated version of that stupid movie that people go see, the slasher movie or whatever, the killer movie. And look, it's more like, this is playful, this is fun, this is black humor, this is black comedy. That's the impression I got for the first half of the movie, and that's fine. If you didn't like it, that's fine. There's much dumber movies than this movie, and by the way, they came out this year. So I mean, I kind of feel sorry for people if that's how they feel. It's like, to me, this is a filmmaker who he's gonna do what he wants to do. We've seen enough M. Night Shyamalan movies to be like, look, we may not like it, but he's gonna ultimately make the movie he wants to make. I found it fun. I found it to be playful. I knew Josh Hartnett was a serial killer. You're absolutely right. But it's in this almost tongue-in-cheek kind of way where it's like, okay, that's fine. And then the tension gets ratcheted up. Then I'm like, actually, edge of my seat, actually committed to what's going on. I'm like, wait a minute, this is from Josh Hartnett's point of view? What's going on? You know what I mean? And so it's like trying to figure that out and trying to figure out where the movie was taking us. I was genuinely entertained by it. But you know,
I agree.
again,
There
I
are
just
some fun
took
parts.
everything
Yeah.
that it was selling. You know, all the dumb decisions, all the dumb dialogue. It's like, okay, but this is a psychopath pretending to be a real person. So I mean, and to see that mask slip off Hartnett's face from the start to the end, I thought was great. But again, I'll leave it there for now.
Well, apparently, bad Mike Aragon over here apparently has a little counter to that. So why don't you tell the crowd, Rick, about what you thought about the film?
Edge of your seat. I'm sorry, Robert. That is. I just find that wow. Edge. I was not on the edge of my seat. I was like, when is this movie ending? If I was on the edge of my seat, it was like, when do I get to leave this theater? I first off just kept thinking certain things. First off, why does M. Night Shyamalan insist on shooting mostly the back of Haley Mills's head? It's like for the most of the movie, we just see the back of her head, not actually see her face. She's supposed to be the FBI profiler. Secondly, it just seemed to be very convoluted the way that the killer is, that they are signaling that the killer, the butcher, is in the concert. It's like, I just thought, why doesn't the person that suspects that it's the killer just please and say, hey, killer, no, I'm going to break into the safe house and leave a ticket here and proof, and so I'm going to surround all of this. And I don't know, for me, the performances were openly insincere. It's like, it just looked like Josh Hartnett was like, oh yes, I'm going to show you how is this here I am, and everyone was this way. And there is no way that or is it Salika Shyamalan?
Yeah.
She's no Angelica Houston. All right, just because her father directed her in this movie. She was unbelievably bad.
We'll get to her here in a second. There's something interesting about her.
I'll just say this much when it comes to Rob. If he enjoyed it, that's fine. But I was not involved in this story. I was not. I'm like so tense as to how he gets away with it. I just thought once we got at the end of the concert, and I was surprised that the concert ended during the day. I know that's a strange thing to focus on, but like, why is the concert ending in the day? Shouldn't it end at night?
They gotta get that third act in.
Yeah. Once they left the concert, it's like I felt I was just stretching it and stretching it and stretching it and stretching it and stretching it. Like, please,
Like
end.
my wife.
Please end.
Yeah, he doesn't have a wife. So let me get into this whole thing. So I'm kind of more on Rob's side. I don't know if I love it as much as Rob did, but here's what I thought. The way that I judge M. Night Shyamalan's movie the same way that I judge every other mystery movie. It's like, okay, if you're telling people that this is a mystery movie and things are going to get revealed towards the end, it's like, okay, I'll go along for the ride, but the payoff better be as good as the setup. And if it's not, then you've pretty much failed from that whole concept. So here, like I said, you have this idea that, okay, these two are going to a concert. They seem like a normal father-daughter, gig or whatever. And then obviously this guy like has a secret that, he's not who he appears to be. And what gets revealed here is that, of course, he goes there and this doofus in the what was it? I gotta show this guy right here.
I love this doofus.
I know. It's like, hey, by the way, I'm not supposed to tell anyone because there's a literal serial killer here that the police are trying to catch. Hey, by the way, this is in fact a trap.
Not even that. Gives a random person he barely knows classified information.
Mm-hmm. Real people are stupid.
No,
just saying,
because
real
he
people
was
are
nice.
stupid.
Because he was nice to the other
So
person.
I found that to be at least somewhat, I could buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of serial killers who do fit that profile. So I was like, oh, he was so nice. I had no idea he had 14 people buried in his backyard.
The reason he's showing all of this information is because he let the other person buy the shirt.
Yeah.
And that's no reason to be Basil exposition where you're just telling what you need major information. You're just an info dump.
Yeah. But one thing I do like about it is like I really like the first 2/3 of this movie because they do keep everything at kind of like a pace because what happens is that it starts off just like a regular concert. They do mix like a lot of music in with the film setting, so it does kind of feel like a concert movie. I'll explain that part here in a second. But as you go on here, like as he starts to realize that okay, the police are here to get me. They don't know that I'm here yet, but I need to find a way out of here. And he starts like looking around, finding his surroundings, tries to plays out like, how can I escape this whole situation? And he realizes that he can't escape. And you start to see his like mental psyche begin like to break, right? He starts getting more desperate, and then like the whole theme and the tone of the film goes along with it. So I think as far as the storytelling aspect of that, it does play off pretty well. There is some character-induced stupidity along the way, but let's be honest, we're talking about people in Philadelphia. They're not very bright to begin with, so I can buy that whole situation too. So
especially blacks.
Apparently, because people don't know how to shut up. But no, but so it progresses here. I think it does a very good job of that. When we get to the third act, when he does find the way to get out of the concert and escapes, I think that it played up a little too long. I think if he had probably cut it out, maybe like the last 15-20 minutes of the whole thing, that it probably would have played out a lot better, but I think he just like stretched it out a little too far. I will say this here, let's talk about this aspect, because this is a very big portion of the movie here. Lady Raven, who is the fictional pop star in the film, and we all know is M. Night Shyamalan's real life daughter. What's her name? Shalika Shyamalan. So apparently apparently she is a real singer in real life. And what she did is, in this film, all the songs that were performed in the movie were songs that she actually wrote for the film. So every single song in here is an original song for the movie. I thought that aspect was pretty cool, because I first heard of the concept and knowing that she was going to be in it, I thought, okay, so M. Night Shyamalan just made this movie just to let everyone know that his daughter has a singing career, right? Like that's going to be like the entire payoff of this whole thing. I mean, which, hey, he still may have done, but there actually is like a method to it, and she actually did produce a lot for it. I think as far as the music go, I mean, it's basically generic R&B stuff. So, I mean, if you like it, you like it. It is what it is. As an actor, however, I think having her as an actor kind of leaves a lot to be desired. She's not terrible, but she's also not the strongest actor. You can tell she's inexperienced, the way that they presented her. And the big problem is that in that third act, she plays a very big part of the roles, which requires her to act a lot more. It's not just her on stage singing. I think that kind of loses it, but I do like the tension that they built with it, because it's like, if she is supposed to be like this Taylor Swift level, pop star that everyone like in the world knows, then how would she essentially try to one up a serial killer who's one step ahead of the police every single way? It's like, should we obviously use her fame as a weapon? There is logical steps here in this film that does make sense. Where I think it kind of loses it a bit is that when we get to kind of the confrontation and the showdown, where he finally, the gig is up, and he only has one path that he can take here. We start going into like this take versus double take, and I'm gonna be very very honest here. There's this sequence towards the end of this film where he's in a limo with the pop star. They're in a very busy street. Everyone can see them, and somehow by magic and hocus pocus, he manages to slip past the police in the most ridiculous way imaginable. Like goes like full Hitman 47 on this whole
crazy.
situation.
That's not even the worst part of the movie. That's not even the worst part.
No. And then the police committing an execution in the middle of all of that, and he just slips on by. Fantastic stuff.
Literally, like, instant transmission out of the limo and walks straight down the freaking crowd of people. Like, how is that even possible?
I mean, there is some element, and this is what I said here in my review, and Eddie, I'm gonna let you go here too, but this is an element that I did say in my review too. It's like, it feels like a Hitman 47 video game in some aspects. It's like he's even like changing into like costumes and changing like his attire and walking around causing mischief and stuff like that. It did feel like a Hitman video game, and for those who like kind of like the newer versions, maybe not so like the PS2 era, but kind of like the ones we've gotten over the last few years, I did actually kind of like that, because like I said, you're basically getting into a mind of a man who knows that he's basically caught, but he's trying to find a way out. And it's like, how does he always end up one step ahead of everyone else? Because like, he is a pretty cunning and twisted, maniacal individual, which I think Josh Hartnett does a pretty good job here. He pretty much does carry like this film. Outside of that, there really isn't anyone with like enough experience to really carry the film motion wise. So I think he does a much better job than a lot of people probably give him credit for. But Eddie, I want to get your thoughts here on this film, because obviously where me and Rob stand, where MSK and Rick stand, so you're kind of our tiebreaker here. What do you think about this film?
I honestly, first off, I kind of like the movie. I give it a nice 3 out of 5, and I can explain the whole way, and I can be swayed either way. But Josh Bartnett, what a great fucking role, man. That was fantastic. He legitimately was as good as he can get in this movie, and I was rooting for him. Like I didn't really watch the trailer, so I didn't really know what was going to happen. And so when 15 minutes into the movie, I figured it out, of course, because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. But like after that, it just became like the final season of Dexter that I always wanted. Like he's going around trying to just get past the cops, trying to sneak through all these different ways. And then they're doing mouse traps where they're opening up the stage. So, hey, you want to exit through here? You know, like it was a Disney version of a stalker movie. And once I figured that part out, I really started to enjoy the movie as like a nice little popcorn kind of dilly, going around. I howled. Everyone else got scared. I howled when he put the grease inside of tanks.
You're an awful person.
Dude, I laughed so hard and I said, "This is not happening, but it's everything I wanted." It's like that scene is the lawnmower laying in the middle of the lawnmower.
I think that the great thing about this, well, great, whatever, you can really just have a great time if you don't think about it too much. That's my best advice. Now, maybe that's the same advice I gave for The Beekeeper, and I think The Beekeeper, honest, overall is probably a better movie than Trap. And look, I'm only going to give it a 3 out of 5, but that kernel at the end, I thought was brilliant. I thought that was like, thank you for taking some chances, Hollywood filmmakers. Thank you. And I know that there's a lot of logic and flaws to the storytelling. I completely agree with that. I think that that's very true. But and I know, Rick, by the way, when you laughed, you sound exactly like Hans Landa did when he's laughing at Diane Kruger in Inglourious Bastard. It's a little too practiced. You might want to work on that, but that's fine.
Laugh. That's my actual laugh.
And maybe I shouldn't have used on the edge of my skin, because that's a cliche. It is a cliche, but I was genuinely invested in it. I thought it was funny at first. Then I was like getting into it. And then I was like, I actually want to see how this turns out. I have no idea. Sometimes I'm very stupid when it comes to movies because I love them so much. I want to be fooled. I want to be drawn in. And I've seen a lot of shit this year. So maybe that goes into it, that, hey, I'm willing to put this one over a little bit, flaws and all, just because I found it fun and entertaining. And Josh Hartnett plays a wacko, and like Allison Pill is this like, oh, by the way, the pop star daughter thing, her dialogue was bad. I don't think that she's there as an actress. The fact that she's basically the hero, it's like, okay, that's hard to swallow. That's hard to get over on. It's like, okay, I'm basically willing to accept those flaws just because I had a good time. It's the first movie I saw with my mom in a movie theater, and I don't know, in a while. Killers of the Flower Moon was the last one, but so yeah, overall, I liked it. I know there are issues with it. It's certainly not a perfect movie. I was reminded of Split at certain times, just because like Hartnett's character is almost like a supervillain. He's almost like a Batman supervillain. How he just keeps escaping. He just keeps.
I'll say this right before Rick goes in. There's a point towards the end. I won't spoil, but I think you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Where I thought, oh my god, he did not just make a spinoff to Unbreakable. This son, I swear to God, I will throw something at the screen if he did this again. But no, it wasn't that. But it was a moment there. It was like, oh, you got close. You got close.
I never saw Split, so it didn't remind me. But what this movie reminded me, when she's trapped in the bathroom and sending messages to all her fans, it reminded me of the Annie remake with Queenie Chanel Harris. Or like she's texting everyone to like find this house, and all these people are going to go, and he's beating on the door. I'm thinking, what does this remind me of? It reminded me of Annie. I don't know if the intent was to remind me of a bad remake of a musical, but that's what it did. Once I was willing to go along with a lot of this, up until they actually got to the end of the concert. And I thought, first off, why is Lady Raven going to agree to be in a room with a man just completely alone? Because the plot required it to. But It's like,
Yep.
just keep. It just kept stretching and stretching and stretching, and I thought, when is this going to end? And I'm sorry, that whole thing where he keeps shooting the back of Haley Mills's head, for the most part, rarely showing her the front. Why? That was a directorial choice that I found very curious. But I'm sure Rob will give a great explanation as to how it was an homage to Herzog or some oddball.
I just want
I just thought it was from Hartnett's point of view. That's the only thing that I thought of. But
the one thing I love about the one thing about this movie that really illuminated for me for Shyamalan movies, because I didn't really pay attention many to Shyamalan movies. First off, he has his own style that like cutaway 3/4 shot that he likes to do between the two actors, right? That close-up shots. He likes that. Hey, it had a lot of that Mark Wahlberg. Hey, no, what? You know, that kind of dialogue between him and the woman, the friend's
God.
Mom.
Oh God.
That one,
right.
I can see how he became a serial killer going through all that stuff. Like that woman would have driven me insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
then when she gets on stage, and then when she gets on stage, and then they go to the prom, and how can you hate this movie when it has scenes like that? I just, you know what I mean? It's too.
I'm just pointing out the fact that we were talking about that limo scene. This entire movie is based around a dude being trapped, has a literal chance, to just like, I don't know, escape. Movie's over. They just gotta, because I don't know if we're doing spoilers here, but this character quite literally could have just left to leave. He just won because plot required it. They go back to he goes back to the house. Like, we're just stretching this movie out like my wife. Just saying, my wife loved it. So then we're at the fucking end of the movie. Basically, long story short, because I know there's a bunch of media articles trying to dissect this. This is long story short. The wife figured out he was a serial killer. Then had the oh my god, if any mother ever did this in her life, you don't deserve to be voting nor having kids. The mom knew at some point her daughter's dad is a serial killer and then sent her to a concert with him. That's the dumbest thing ever.
I'm going to set a trap for my husband, but my daughter's going to be there too.
Keep in mind,
that was the big trap.
Can't even happen. The movie can't happen because remember, since she knew that he at some point he was a serial killer, why did she just have? She knew that she was in cahoots with the FBI when they came back to her house. I bet in the movie when they knocked him down. Why didn't they just get him when he's driving on the way there? Why are they waiting for him at the concert? He could just be captured in their house.
They don't know it's him. They don't know it's him. She left a clue. She didn't tell them directly.
What did he do? What did he do with the family? What did he do with the family and on the other side of the door in the bathroom? He was like yelling and screaming at the family, and then they end up outside. They end up on the other side of the garage door. Hey!
I will say that when the garage door opens and they're ready to leave and they're all standing there, I did want to shout, "Run them down! Run them down!" All right, so that's
not a Taylor Swift movie.
Daughter also had time to live stream, and she knows he's a serial killer. Who live streams for a serial killer about to probably slit their throat?
And she's reading the comments. She's reading the comments too.
Imagine Taylor Swift. Imagine Taylor Swift in the bathroom of some rando's house saying that, guys, I need you to help me to fight some random guy. Help me! I've been kidnapped. Someone's trying to kill me.
That's why it reminded me of Annie, because Annie did the same thing in the movie. She's abducted and she is tweeting it out like her location, and all of New York really cares to rescue this obnoxious little girl. And it's not a good thing when suspense movie that is so it's tense and exciting and gripping. It reminds you of this dumb musical that was not even the best version of it.
Real quick here, then we can wrap things up to our final thoughts. I'll give my final thoughts here on this film. I did like this probably more than all of you guys on this panel. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. Here's my thing. I think the ending stretched out a little bit too long. I think it had part to do with the acting from Shyamalan's daughter not being too great, and the whole sequence with her at the end of the house. I think that was fine there. The problem is that they then, after they got to that point, it didn't stretch out to her and the like him in the limo at the middle of the street. Then he like Agent 47's his way somehow out of downtown, and it makes it like back to his house to like find his wife. And then you have like the whole sequence with like him and the wife, which I didn't mind that sequence, but then after that, it's like, okay, now he has to fight with the cops, and now they finally catch him and they arrest him, and he just so happens to grab that spoke wheel from the bike, which never would have allowed them to happen like whatsoever. It's like, hold on, let me touch my bike here before you throw me in the cuffs, because I killed 14 people and one of the biggest pop stars in the entire world. So I need a moment with my bike. Like, come on.
Just real quick, it took 3. I don't know about tasing, but it took 3 tasers to knock this guy down.
I think it was more. I think it was more.
His fingers in one of their eyes. If that ever happens in real life, you attack a cop like that, they will actually just maul you down with their guns. He's not getting killed at all.
They're still talking about.
Dude, straight up about the murder an FBI agent, and the bill. Okay, we'll just go. Bro, come on, man.
At that point, they would have blasted him. Like at that point, they would have blasted him, and they would have told the media it was an accident.
Even shot himself twice in the head. That's how it works.
Even for more disbelief, what is a 10-year-old Biggie in the middle of like the Badlands of Philadelphia doing listen to Indian pop stars to begin with? And he's like in the middle of the Badlands of Philadelphia. That's where he's holding all these people hostage and everything else. And it's this little black kid. He's like, yeah, I was following her on Instagram, and that's how I figured it out. And that came to my house. Like,
look, I am fully willing to say this without changing my score. This definitely is a bad movie that has enough entertaining aspects to it that it kind of doesn't matter. Now, if those things bothered you, that's fine. For me, I just had so much fun watching this movie, regardless of all of the problems it has, regardless of the fact that the director put his own daughter in to be the hero and kind of spout inane dialogue.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it.
Like I said, I wouldn't say that it's all bad. Like I said, I do really genuinely enjoy the first 2/3 of this movie, but I think the third act just goes completely off the rails, and that's what hurt for me. Like
the daughter-dad stuff was like the best parts of it. When they had that immersive concert feel with the daughter-dad stuff, that stuff I like. I mean, I think what really hinders the movie, if you really think about it, it's just, I'm correct or wrong, it's PG-13, right? The movie PG-13?
I believe so.
This is a movie based on a serial killer. We never actually see him kill anybody. I think that's the reason why the movie's wrongly rated. This to be better, to more get a better feel of it, you need to be rated R. I think the PG-13 rating hindered it so hard.
I think the problem is that I would go against that a little bit, because all you really need for this movie is for the audience to know that he is a serial killer and he does have the capability of killing people. I think they sold that part. The only way you would get away with like an R rating is for him to like actually kill people. But then again, that takes away from the entire but that takes away from like the entire like point of like he's literally just trying to escape. Like that's all he's really trying to do at this point.
And Shyamalan doesn't. I don't think he makes any R movies. I think all of his releases have been PG-13, just for box office purpose. And here's the thing: I will say this about M. Night Shyamalan. Not a big fan of the man's work. I think maybe he has 3 good movies in his filmography, but he always makes money. He always makes money. I could be wrong. I think even the Avatar movie made money, and I thought that was a disaster. So
yeah, the Avatar movie probably made money because of the name recognition. Not the quality itself. I don't know how much money Lady in the Water made though.
It made $73 million on a $70 million budget, so it wasn't a box office success by any stretch.
But even on his misses, it's like he still makes the money back. I don't know. I mean, this was 2006, so I don't know what the business model was at the time, if it was the same as it is now. But
I just want to point out that every single time I saw Josh Hartnett, I instantly thought of Rob. Like he looked exactly like how I thought Rob would look like if he was played by Josh Hartnett. And so when Rob and the guy who looked like Jacob were talking to each other, I thought it was like a legitimate conversation between Jacob and Rob.
Did anybody like the fact that Josh Hartnett just takes his shirt off in the last scene for no reason?
That was fantastic. That was great. I was like, yes.
It's like, what? I get it. You look really good for 50, Josh, but I don't need to see your abs.
Wow. I did write in my notes obligatory shirtless shot. So
yeah.
For what it is, that whole section at the end of the movie, or that whole thing between him and the wife and everything, was Shyamalan's homage to Psycho 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say this about Shyamalan too, just real quick. While like quality wise, a lot of his movies just aren't good. Like he has a few good ones, but that's really just it. He hasn't really produced like anything that would be considered a box office bomb. Like probably his worst movie box office wise is After Earth, but that was a film with like Will Smith. So it's like, I mean, can you really put that all on him? Like everyone thought Will Smith was still a draw at that point in time, and then it's like that whole try to make Jaden Smith a star thing just didn't work like at all. But I mean, his films have made decent money, which is why they keep giving them chances. So I mean, credit to him at least for that.
Like he's someone that has a unique style, and I mean, he's one of those directors where if he directs the next movie, I'll watch it just to have. His movies make you have conversations like these, which are cool.
Yeah.
I don't mind that, you know. And to be fair, if people like this movie, I don't care. It's all fun and it's all opinions and stuff like that. I don't mind. It's just I think the movie is trying to be a little bit too much smarter than it needs to be. I agree with Rob. It should have just been some dumb fun Morbius kind of style movie where you don't think about the plot at all. He made you think about the plot way too hard. This was just some dumb fun Transformers kind of flick. Gets away with most things, but he tried to pull like the whole I'm smarter than you guys, I can show you guys I can get out of this. Made a scene where the guy literally just could have won the plot and just kept a minute. So good old M. Night Shyamalan. I was lucky he gave his daughter some time to sing. He's being a good dad. M. Night Shyamalan, if your daughter is single, she's dark, I'm dark. We can kind of make it happen. Just saying.
I wish I had a button for that, but the best thing.
Would you please?
I agree with Master Swag there.
The hell up!
If I may, I haven't.
Can
anyone hear Orange Hat, or he just like
muted himself and now he's
unmuted?
unmuted?
Say real quick here that this movie was not terrible. It's certainly better than Argyle, but the problem was that once the concert ended, it just seemed to go on and on and on, and I felt that they were stretching and stretching and stretching this project. It should have ended around the time of the concert, and I would have preferred either that he be caught or that he escape. Not this, let's go ahead and abduct this pop star and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going.
I do not, unless they are white black girls, and you can decipher what that means for yourself.
No, we know Snow Buddy Hood Rats when we see him, so yeah,
Okay.
that works out. So yeah, what was your
Kamala poster? Is that what he's saying? He
No.
doesn't have a big Kamala poster?
real quick, Rick, what was your score?
2.
2, and then MSK, what would you give this a score out of 5?
I don't give ratings anymore. I would just say it's a bad movie. That's what I would say.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm not sure if Eddie gave one or not. Yeah, it's about an hour and 45 minutes. So that's the quick rundown here of Trap. Like I said, mixed opinions on here, but I said go check it out yourself. It's not like there's that many other movies that are worthy of a watch this day. So it is what it is. Now, let's go ahead and get to the point where I'm pretty sure everyone has been waiting for this entire night, because I've literally held you up here for nearly 2 hours getting to this very moment, and that is the sneak preview of the new barroom intro that I'm going to do for you guys here tonight. So here's what happened. I had finished this one last night, and I was going to premiere it to you guys. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I ended up getting copyright claim at the very last minute as I was going to premiere this. So I was like, oh, crap. Well, now I got to do another version. I did another version, but I was like, okay, well, wait a second. I'm pretty much already going to get claimed because I got the ESPN around the horn logo on the screen to begin with, so that's probably going to be a problem. So why don't I just go ahead and premiere you guys the version that I was going to send you? So I can go ahead and tell you this right now. This won't be the version that you guys see next week. There will be a few tweaks and changes to it, but it'll be mostly around the same style here. This is the brand new barroom intro. Cider is the only person here who has seen this outside of Spencer and maybe Nerdigans, but she doesn't talk to me, so I'm not sure if she's actually seen it or not, or confirmed any of this to be real. We'll talk about that in a whole other issue. Here is our brand new barroom podcast. I hope you enjoy it because we put a lot of work into it. Some of you guys are going to be very excited. Some of you guys are going to be very disturbed. Here you go.
This is a warning to all living mortals, that who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth. Okay, cut it. This isn't going to work. Let's try some nostalgia bait. Okay, that was better. But let's try something a bit more cinematic.
You about to witness hip-hop in its most purest, most rawest form, flow, or most flawless, most hardest, most honest, known artist. Chip off the old block, but old Doc is back. Looks like Batman brought his own Robin. Oh God, Saddam's got his own Laden. Off the hinges, oranges, peach, pears, plums, oranges. Yeah, here I come, I'm inches away from you, there fear none. Hip-hop is in a state of 911, so let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around, what is this? Must be a circus in town, let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness? Hell yeah. Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around, what is this? Must be a circus in town, let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness?
Yeah, that's the shit I like. Let's start the Barroom podcast. Take it away, Jacob.
Boom.
Lols.
Lols all the way around. So like I said, Cider was the only one who saw that because he got a preview of it last night. So I'll go ahead and get your reactions to seeing you guys brought to life in the land of cinema. Rick, I saw the horror in your face a couple of times during this. So what was your thoughts on what you just saw there?
Well, first, I mean, nothing against Jaime Escalante or
almost,
but I do have a lot more hair than either of them. So there's that. And really, if you wanted to pick someone closer to me, well, I guess it's not cinematic, but you would have picked Charles Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, since he is my doppelganger. I would just say that, yep, it's okay, it's fine, but it's not what you're gonna. It's not what we're gonna see. But I didn't really see myself in the Avengers sequence.
Mm-hmm. You know which one you? I thought it was pretty obvious who you were.
No, I couldn't tell.
Oh, Doctor Strange Rick.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange? Oh my God.
It was right
You're
before
Doctor
mine.
Strange Rick. That's the whole
Well,
name.
I
Dr.
recognize
Strange
Rob.
Rick.
I recognize Rob, and Rob actually looks pretty good in that sequence, and Cider looks pretty good as Spider-Man.
Spider Cider.
Spider Cider. But it's like.
Or Cider Man. It works well too.
Oh,
yep, see, that's you.
Lame.
It's probably the facial hair that threw me off.
Oh.
Because I haven't had. Well, no, I do have facial hair from time to time.
Yes.
So I'll give you a quick rundown of who everyone was, just in case you missed it. So obviously we got a super Cider Man, or
whatever I am tonight. Sure.
Sure. And we have Nerdigans as Black Widow, so that one worked out pretty well. We have Josh as Hawkeye. We have Spencer as the Winter Soldier.
The Winter Spencer.
The Winter Spencer. I put Cassie as the Punisher because it just seemed to fit far more with that one.
Is that the Punisher?
The Punishette.
Yeah. Okay. The Punishette. I had Biggles Metz here as Ant-Man. So that's what the character that Biggles played.
Oh shit.
We have Eddie here as Loki.
Shane Gillis. Looks like Shane Gillis.
We got CS Johnson as the Wasp.
That's a Bella Danger. That's not CS Johnson. What the hell?
Yeah. We have Pete as Thor. So Pete, I did him pretty good there. So there you go.
Yeah.
We have TW as Falcon. We have Sarah as Scarlet Witch. We have Orange Hat, obviously, as the Hulk. And then you guys saw, we saw Rick here as Doctor Strange. We got Rob here as Iron Man.
Iron Rob.
And then, of course, you got me as T'Challa. So.
Okay. To Jacob. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The actual fuck.
So yeah, I saved that for you guys so you guys could see your reaction.
Not saying anything, right?
I enjoyed it.
I saw that one come up, Cassie, and I was like, "That's fair. That's fair."
Mm. Did you guys like how yours came out there?
Sure.
I looked
very
lovely.
dashing.
No, but I can't stop looking at it.
I was a
Like-
skateboarder, and then I was Tom Holland, but like a 40-year-old version of Tom Holland.
But nowhere near as annoying. So there you go.
Yeah, double yeah.
Yeah.
I have glasses, curly hair, and I'm the Hulk. What the fuck? I am not sleeping tonight.
You got a towel over your head. I think you I think you actually look really good in that video. I mean, compared to right now where you got this kind of weird monk type thing going on.
I'm giving Jacob plausible deniability.
Mm-hmm. I just want to post this one up for Cassie. So I'll send everyone a photo that you guys can save if you want to use it for avatars, or if you're going to do all of it. I'll send that for you guys later tonight when we're done with this whole thing. So there you go. MSK, I know he had to dip here because he has to get prepared for his show that's going to start here in about 10 minutes. So just wanted to let you guys see that real quick. And I guess we should go ahead and just roll over to our closer here and in this night with a little bit. Since we're on the topic of Marvel, let's go ahead and talk about Jonathan Majors. As you guys heard last week, he was officially replaced as the main focus of the MCU for the next foreseeable future, pretty much. Robert Downey Jr. came back. He's going to be playing Doctor Doom now, which is weird and odd and kind of dumb. So, of course, they asked Jonathan Majors, well, how do you feel about Robert Downey Jr. essentially replacing you? And how do you feel? And he had some mixed feelings about it. I want to go and get your take on this here, because does he have a point here about being a little slighted or being judged unfairly? Do you think that he has a gripe here based on his comments? So, well, so this is the rundown from Variety. Majors told TMZ that he's heartbroken over the news that Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom and will be the new villain for the next two Avengers movies. Like I said, he was supposed to be him, but then he effectively got replaced after the whole incident in Brooklyn last year. He was found guilty on 2 counts of misdemeanor of harassment and assault earlier. I think it was like last year, actually, like last December when that happened. He was supposed to be Kang the Conqueror. They set him up in Loki. They set him up in Ant-Man Quantumanium, which is Ant-Man 3. They had the whole thing mapped out around him, but then he got himself into legal trouble and they decided to go another way. So now they're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. because let's be honest, they need the money and they don't really have any other options. So somebody had asked him basically what he thought about it. He says, yeah, heartbroken, of course. He answered the TMZ paparazzi. I love Kang. Dr. Doom is wicked though. He then go on to say that Downey was given the chance to lead more Avengers movies despite his own history of legal troubles, because we all know Robert Downey Jr. has a long history of legal problems that he's had in the course of his life. And he also brought out that he says that I think that it's fair that Mr. Downey is being and has been greeted with patience, curiosity, and love, that he's allowed to work his art and be creative in that level. He said, despite obviously his legal trouble, he feels like that he didn't get that. I believe he also brought up Ezra Miller and kind of the whole Ezra Miller situation. As you guys know, there was a lot of wild accusations about him a couple of years back, but Warner Brothers decided to keep him as the Flash. They didn't pull him. He didn't do much promotion up until I think the premiere of the movie where they finally released him and whatnot. But to be fair, I mean, I don't think they're going to do anything more with him in the future. It's just that he happened to be a part of a $300 million movie that they couldn't get rid of at that time period. But he, Majors was pretty much, saying that, hey, Robert Downey Jr. got a second chance, Ezra Miller got a second chance, and I exactly didn't. A lot of people obviously took that to the racial aspect of it, because, well, he's a black man, and that's why he didn't. It's like, okay, we know where that one's going. But I wanted to shoot this one over to you guys, and I guess we'll start us off with Rob. Do you think that Majors was treated unfairly after being replaced based on everything that has happened to him over the course of the last couple of years? Is your brother out there?
Roberto?
Crap. Hey. No. I mean, I look, I think the cases are completely different. Jonathan Majors, I mean, I don't really know the details of his case, but he was found guilty of something related to assault or related to battery or whatever it ended up being. Robert Downey Jr. couldn't be insured. This was the biggest problem. I mean, the whole story he tells about hugging the cactus and Mel Gibson and him giving him a job that was originally slated for him just so that he could, put food on the table. Like that was a big thing. I don't know what the status of Jonathan Majors and insuring him. And I mean, he's not anywhere near the star Robert Downey Jr. was. Robert Downey Jr., not that he was a huge commodity, but he was part of, you know, at least some of the Brat Pack movies. He had success with Chaplin. I mean, he had a very promising career as he was a drug addict. I mean, everybody kind of knew, but they put up with it because he was so skilled. It wasn't until, like, you know, he ended up breaking into somebody's house where it was like, okay, you have a serious problem now and you got to deal with it. And he had enough chances where eventually he ended up in prison. But it's just it's apples and oranges. Jonathan Majors has not established himself the way that Robert Downey Jr. has, in terms of box office, in terms of, you know, name recognition, star power, etc. So he's got quite a ways to go before anybody's going to see him as a star or as a viable, leading man for a movie project, etc. So I just think that it's just two completely separate situations.
Cider, what you think about this? Because you've been covering this one for a little bit now too.
Honestly, it was to shovel him out. That's really the only takeaway from it. I don't disagree with the assessment made that he was shoveled out of the project. I'm not going to speak to like Robert Downey Jr. being of higher value. I'm moreover going to point to the fact that they had this shit movie and they knew it was, and they saw like, okay, Jonathan Majors is not Kang. That was an oopsie. And they were stuck with it. They tried to make a big deal so the investors didn't get scared and run. Then they had an excuse and they ran with it. It's almost like it presented itself. So that's all I have to say about it. It's nothing to do with him being black, nothing to do with him being famous or not. They just watched that Ant-Man movie and they were like, no, it will never work. And that was that. They had an excuse when he slapped around his girlfriend in front of a bunch of other people, and that was the end of it. Regardless if he was driven to it or not by her insanity, that's how it played out. And they were like, okay, bye, your problem, bye. And that's what they did.
It probably didn't help matters that Ant-Man 3 was a bomb and that whole movie was kind of like laced around him, right? Probably didn't help matters.
Well, the thing is that we know about this. This came out from the internals there from one of the people who quit that went on a rampage, that what happened is that they saw the response to Kang and Loki on Twitter and decided we'll do the whole multiverse around him. The whole multiverse saga around him. And that's that, and then they saw Majors in that role as trying to be like at a Thanos level threat, and it just wasn't going to happen. Majors doesn't have that kind of, I don't know. It's not that Josh Brolin is particularly good at what he does, but that gravelly voice and that constantly staring into the sun expression he's got just lends himself to looking menacing. And
yeah,
Majors,
he's an actor.
And Majors looks like a hero. He should be playing John Henry Iron Steel over in the DC universe. He'd be way better suited to being a hero. So really, that's honestly what it is that they saw him as a villain and they were like, this isn't going to work. He's not a bad guy.
Rick, what was your take on this one?
Well, no, Rob pretty much covered what I think as well. I don't understand why we're even thinking that it has to do with race. You look at Robert Downey Jr. He's Iron Man was the comeback for him. There's a difference with Ant-Man 3. That was them trying to build up Jonathan Majors as a star, versus with Iron Man, that was Robert Downey Jr. making a comeback after a lot of personal problems. And it's not like he didn't have an established career. He was respected by his peers. He did a lot of comedies, but he also proved himself in dramatic roles. So you build up a lot of goodwill for Robert Downey Jr. And now he's an Oscar winner. So it is Rob's right. It's apples and oranges. There's no real comparison. So I'm puzzled as to why he thinks this. Maybe it's a kind of a denial, self-denial, that you don't want to accept that, hey, you screwed up, and I think Cider is also right. I got a chance to get rid of someone who was not going to be as big a villain as they hoped, and yeah, this was an opportunity for them to capitalize on it. Sad to say, I feel bad for the woman, but yeah, it was both Cider and Rob pretty much have what I would say.
But it's also victim culture why he went this way, by the way, to sort of get sympathy points or whatever, where it's like, okay, like this is the groundwork that we're all working with now, where it's like, you know, if you present yourself as being, oh, I'm not being considered because of, you know, a racial aspect or some discriminatory aspect, it's like, no, man, we're talking about corporate entities and sure things and wanting to make money on the things, you know, that are produced. And he doesn't have a great track record. And, you know, I'll take what Snyder says. I don't know anything about whether the perception he was good in that Ant-Man movie. I'm sure you're right. To me, it's more of just like, again, it's hard to compare Robert Downey Jr., who, I mean, we're talking about a supreme talent. And granted, we don't know what Jonathan Majors has really, because we've only seen a few roles. I think the Creed movie and
Devotion.
Yeah, there you go, Devotion, which I didn't see, unfortunately.
Yeah. And really, who's going to rally around Jonathan Majors and insist that he come back into the MCU? Who's going to mount that crusade for him? You can mount it for Robert Downey Jr. Mel Gibson did it. Mel Gibson stuck by him. Whatever I may think of him, he stayed loyal. Who's going to do that for Jonathan Majors?
I want to get Eddie and Orange's take on this. I do have a little bit of added context with the whole Robert Downey Jr. thing. I think this is another reason why people are bringing this up, but I want to get Orange's take first.
Jonathan Majors fucked up. He beat a woman. He's dealing with the fucking consequences. Whether or not it is fair or just, that's up to other people. He fucked around, he found out, and honestly, I'm not on board with anything Marvel anymore. I kind of fucking walked away. Robert Downey Jr. is only being brought back because, well, they need the money.
They need the money.
Yeah, they need the money. As for whether, or it's like, oh, it's not fair. Well, then maybe you shouldn't have fucking put hands on your woman, dude. Maybe you shouldn't have fucking hit her. Maybe you shouldn't have fucking threatened her. Maybe if you were actually a decent fucking human being, you would have had your fucking thing. But no, now they got to go and bring in a top tier fucking villain that they can't kill off because of the incursion arc, they're not going to kill off Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. He's going to actually end up saving the fucking universe or multiverse universe. So, yeah, there's that. They kind of already screwed that, or they kind of already spoiled that. But, yeah, if he's complaining that, oh, it's not fair or whatever, dude, you didn't get a raw deal. You fucked your own deal. You fucked your own prospects. You fucked your own future. You put hands on a woman and you got caught. Deal with it. Live with it. Learn from it. Those are my thoughts.
We ain't got time for that here. Eddie, what's your take on the Major story?
To be honest, I don't know what anything that Jonathan Majors has done. I've never actually seen him act in anything. I never watched the Ant-Man movies, so I really don't have much of a thing on him. I do notice though that the media is not treating Jonathan Majors like they used to treat Robert Downey Jr. when he had his problems, because the only reason why I remember Robert Downey Jr. before Iron Man, after Iron Man, I actually went to watch his movies and see what kind of a talent he was. But before that, it was literally, he was the new wave nerd in the Rodney Dangerfield classic Back to School. And they made an entire Simpsons musical where he's checked into the Betty Ford clinic because he's an addict. So those are the only two things I knew about Robert Downey Jr. beforehand. And after Iron Man and everything, yeah, he's a legitimate talent. So I really don't know much about Jonathan Majors. I can only assume that he's enough of a talent that someone's going to hire him eventually. But it's really hard to say, like, you should ignore the fact that I punched a woman in the face because I happen to be black. It's like, dude, nigga. Anyway.
So here's where the whole thing comes back. It's not just, Robert Downey Jr. got a second chance, but Jonathan Majors didn't. If you guys remember the story from a few years ago, like I said, we're talking about the Circle of Black Twitter here, so they obviously remember this. It was the whole fallout with Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr. after the first Iron Man film. If you remember what happened, at 2007, when they moved forward with this entire project, at that time period, Terrence Howard was a bigger star than Robert Downey Jr. So they kind of, even though Robert Downey was supposed to be like the star, it was like a risk that they were taking to suit him. They made it very public that they were taking a big risk on him at that time period. So Terrence Howard actually got paid, I believe, $3 million for that film, and he was supposed to, according to him, he was supposed to get somewhere between 5 to 10 for the second movie, and then obviously it was going to bump up for a third movie somewhere about $12 million. That was what they agreed upon. And then somewhere after the first Iron Man movie, he says that they lowballed him, that they weren't going to give him what they were contractually obligated to give him, because at that point they decided that, you know, hey, we really don't need you anymore. Like, Robert's a star, he's going to carry this whole thing. And Terrence was expecting Robert Downey Jr. to have his back, because during that time period in the first Iron Man movie, Terrence Howard went at bat for Robert Downey Jr. because they were friends at the time. So it was like he was a part of that circle that was like, no, hey, give this guy a chance, give this guy the role, let him run with it. So he thought that Robert was going to use his power to help him out so that Disney would pay him what they agreed upon. And then apparently Robert Downey Jr. just ghosted him after the fact. And then, of course, he got replaced by Don Cheadle afterwards. So Terrence Howard, I'm not sure what his recent status is with Robert Downey Jr., but he made it pretty clear when he made those comments that, yeah, him and Robert are not on good terms, and they probably won't be for quite some time after the whole thing went out. So when you compile that on top of what Jonathan Majors is talking about here, that's why a lot of people are looking at, you know, him being replaced by Robert Downey Jr. as it's something more to do with, you know, Robert Downey Jr. is a big star, and they, like I said, they need the money. They're looking at it as, okay, this is another example of Hollywood racism, because first you guys threw Terrence Howard, you know, out the door with that whole situation. Now you're doing the same thing in Jonathan Majors. That's how those people were looking at it. Would you agree with that, Rob, or do you think that there's just kind of gaslighting themselves there?
Listen, and I will say this right now: Terrence Howard is a much more accomplished actor than Jonathan Majors is. So, like, he at least has some gripes here. You know, he went to bat for Robert Downey Jr. at a time when Robert Downey Jr. didn't. To use a term, didn't have a pot to piss in terms of the industry, in terms of jobs, whatever. And it's like, this is Hollywood, guys. Like, this is Hollywood. No matter, like, all the people are talented for the most part. Like, all of these people have a great talent. And it's like, you know, everybody's out for themselves. You know what I mean? And it may seem cold. That's the industry. That's what that place is. And so I think it sucks. I think it's unfortunate, but it's like, this is what happens. They saw an area that they thought, you know, they could get someone cheaper or a better star. Hey, Robert, we'll give you a producer credit. Hey, Robert, we'll give you more money. We don't fucking need Terrence. Fuck him. That's literally, these conversations happen every day, and sometimes it's not with people that are this talented. Terrence Howard, you know, he had hustle and flow. He was successfully on Empire. Like, he's doing fine, but the story does definitely outline what Hollywood is. Now, the idea that you want to connect this to Hollywood racism, no, it's business, it's money, it's about the bottom line. That's it. You don't need, I mean, here's the thing. You don't need to be discriminatory when you're just making a cold, calculated business decision. That's what it comes down to. It's about money.
Well, I think Rob did pretty much hit on something. There's a difference between Terrence Howard and Jonathan Majors. Terrence Howard was already established. I think he was also an Oscar nominee by the time he made Iron Man. Jonathan Majors was an up-and-coming actor. I mean, he didn't have a lot to his name. All these other films like Creed 3, and there was like was it something Dreams that was supposed to be like a big breakout for him that's not going to get released. Those were establishing him. So there's a difference. It's not, I don't see it as racism here either. I see it more as you had an established actor, an established name versus an up-and-comer. You're not going to really go to bat for the up-and-comer, maybe for the established actor. And I don't know what happened in the first Iron Man, but no, there's no real comparison here. So Rob is on the right track, I would say, between Terrence Howard and Jonathan Majors. There's no comparison.
Cider, what's your thoughts on the at least kind of the Terrence Howard aspect of it? How do you think that? Because, like I said, listening to the way that he described the story, I do think that they did him dirty. If I'm being completely honest with you, and to be completely fair here, I do like Terrence Howard better as an actor, much more than I like Don Cheadle. So I was like, I figured, I feel like they could have easily just figured out a way to like bring him back, but there was also rumors too that apparently him and Jon Favreau didn't get along either, and maybe that had a little bit to do with it too. So I mean, there's a lot of things going on there.
Well, from what we see with the Joe Rogan podcast interviews with Terrence Howard recently, this guy's been a bit full of himself over the years, and so even if they did turn on him and decide to kick him to the curb, he obviously took that harder than happens to most people. And as Rob alluded to, this is not unusual, where they go in and they're like, "We like you better, we'll get rid of this guy," and that's what they do all the time. We see this happen over and over, especially in television. These big movies, it's a surprise, but quite obviously it didn't stick. And again, like I said, Terrence Howard has a pretty big ego. So him getting screwed over, is that good? No, I don't think that's good. But I just want to remind everybody that this guy does take stuff a degree bit more personal than may have been intended. Now, as far as Robert Downey Jr. being preferred over him, I don't think that's right. I think that you had two dynamic stars, and there should have been every effort made to keep the both of them together and happy. Having Terrence Howard playing Rhodey was A+. I don't see Don Cheadle as Rhodey. I just don't. He just doesn't have that kind of energy to him. He's a little too goofy. Rhodey's ex-military. I don't get that energy from Don Cheadle whatsoever. I get like guy that Tony went to college with. I don't get ex-military from him. Terrence had that I am Air Force major working my way up to captain. I will be the general of the Air Force, advisor to the president before I retire kind of energy. And Don Cheadle's like, when are we having pizza, dude?
Yeah, of course, the movie is named Iron Man. It's not named, it's not named Rhodey, right? So who are you going to go with?
But like I said, yeah, keep it in mind too. And like I said, but in the context of at least the first movie, they used that bacon off of Terrence Howard's star power, not Robert Downey Jr. at the time period. So yeah, keep that in mind too.
Yeah, but remember, Iron Man was the big comeback for him, for Robert Downey Jr. He got the part and he ran with it, and he made it into his own. He made it into his own film. I mean, let me rephrase that. He made it into a film that people would want to see him in and want to see more of him. So he took the opportunity. And I don't think anyone here would say that Robert Downey Jr. does not have any talent whatsoever.
He's incredibly talented.
The man is an exceptionally skilled actor who can do comedy and drama quite well. So yeah, he just latched onto this role. He ran with it. It's now his, and more power to him. I don't know what the dynamics were about between Iron Man 1 and 2 replacing Terrence Howard. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that the movie is named Iron Man. Right. So who are you going to go?
So is the comic book? Yes.
Yes.
No, I get it, but I have to ask you, like, what is Batman without Robin? That's
please
a situation.
Let's not.
Well,
Robin is a piece of shit. Come on.
No, I just want to say that, like, Rhodey is to Tony that little Jiminy Cricket character. Tony is not meant to come around to being like this virtue guy ever. The guy that you saw sacrifice himself doesn't exist in the comics. 9 times out of 10, Tony causes the shit the Avengers have to deal with. So it's really more about Rhodey being there and being like, hey, I know you really want to start shit with Obadiah Stane. Why don't you get your suit on first? That's
I will say this. Obviously, when you look a little bit further into like the MCU, especially like the Civil War stuff, maybe a little bit of like Iron Man 3 and the whole like Iron Patriot angle, maybe if they had kept Terrence Howard in, and then he was actually portraying like that dynamic, the emotional aspect of a lot of what happened between that time probably would have played off a lot better if it was him versus Don Cheadle. Like I said, Don Cheadle just kind of felt like a stand-in to me. And like even like the more he got ingratiated in the role, like it just something about it just never quite clicked. And
Don Cheadle would be a better Jeeves.
he probably would. Any final thoughts on this story before we wrap things up and get on out of here? I gotta take it as a no, since no one's don't say the word.
No.
All right, then. Well, now I can go ahead and get rid of you guys in this show. So I'll go ahead and give you guys the floor for everyone to speak. We'll start here with Rob.
Okay, so we're gonna try to get a podcast out this week. I say we as I'm talking about myself because I don't like have a staff or anything. I just like to talk the proverbial we, the royal we. Anyway, talking about screenwriting and Kevin Spacey's interview with Lex Friedman, which I found really interesting. Some of the stories he told, especially Al Pacino calling him out during Glengarry Glen Ross. So I'm really excited to do that. Just been super busy. And as always, trying to get reviews out. You can always check out my Twitter, where I'm mostly not talking about movies because the For You tab has been insanely political as of late. But yeah, I'm really trying to get back to movies and have that be my focus. Football's coming, so Any Given Sunday review will be coming very soon in the month of August. So look out for that.
All right then, Cider. Oh, you're muted, so that helps too. So
I'm tired. Okay, I'm sorry.
it's late, man.
So, yeah. The over on Bounding, check us out, covering gaming news. Maybe we'll be BIG someday now that we do so much gaming news. But either way, tune in over there. We're talking about all this crazy stuff that went on with the Star Wars Outlaws streamers being bribed like senators. That's right. It's not a sponsorship. They literally paid for these people to travel the planet so they could be friends.
Oh God, this is gonna be a long show. Rick, you're here on time, so I guess we should go to you now.
All righty. Well, all I've got is more reviews, including my continuing Summer Under the Stars series. I just published the one on for Jean Harlow Day. There'll be more coming up. I'm working right now currently on the Anne Bancroft Day. So I've just got more reviews. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And a haircut. So
yeah, focus on the haircut. Orange.
Well, I just started my theme streams for the month. They are badass actors. I just did one on Mel Gibson earlier today for Tuesday theme streams. Wednesdays later in the month are going to be my friend and I, Jade Shadow, on her channel, where we're going to be talking about Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 for the ones and twos, because we're doing women or female-led movies that aren't woke. And then the singles that follow those on Thursdays, exclusively on X at 8:30, are going to be G.I. Jane and Quick and the Dead. Fridays are Orange Hat Uncensored, where me and Janet from Another Planet and Ruben Haynes are talking politics stuff. Saturday's my day off. Sunday is weekly recap with me and Kate from Nerd with the Cigar. We talk about all sorts of stuff, kind of like what we do at the bar room, but different. Mondays are Monday Night Rants, where if you guys want something to rant about or have something to rant about, you can come on in. It's just save the drama for your mama. As for that, I'm just trying to get to 2,000 subs before the end of the year, so any help with that is appreciated. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, Will Smith loves G.I. Jane jokes. Definitely, but his way if you can. Eddie.
Hey, hi everybody. Let's see. What am I doing? I have a podcast on. Most of my podcasts are on kick.com. I'm going to be on kick.com's /Real Lethal. It's the Highs and Hello show. We do it every Saturday, and it's mostly just looking through the internet and reacting to what's going on in the world and what's going on in the ebb world. So let's see what else. Yeah, other than that, check out my X, Twitter, whatever you call it, Eddie Brock _YT. I'm usually posting something outrageous or slanderous. So yeah, peace out, y'all.
All right, letting you guys know what I got coming up. I will be on the 01 stream tomorrow. However, I'll be late. I probably won't be there till about 10 because I do have a screening tomorrow for that Blake Lively movie. And I guess this will be a good point to tell people that we will have a show this Friday for the Friday Night Movie Club. So we'll be talking about Borderlands and we'll be talking about the what was the name of that movie? It Ends With Us. So I'll be watching at least both of those. Hopefully you guys at least watch the Borderlands movies and then we can just like smooth through the other one. But yeah, that will be happening this Friday 10 p.m. for that show. As far as the Bible in show on Sunday goes, last week we did Hollywood's relationship with the Roman Catholic Church, and this week we're doing Hollywood's relationship with Freemasons. So I'm pretty sure that YouTube is going to label the crap out of my stream this week, but we're going to do it anyway because it's worth talking about. So that will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. We'll be back here next week with the Bar Room, and I'll give you guys my new up-to-date, completely copyright-free intro of the show. So we're going to take the one you guys saw tonight, do a little bit of touching up to it and make it even better for the next time you guys see us. And I'll be right here on this very show with the same lovely cast and group of characters that you see on here every single week. So a quick little shout out to everyone who joined us here. Yeah, I know Spencer's really broken up about the fact that I'm not going to be there until the last hour of the show. He's devastated. But yeah, the Borderline movie looks like AIDS. It's not getting good reviews, but I mean, we're going to talk about it anyway. Thank you all you guys for joining us here.
Can I throw in the idea of watching Paddington Goes to Peru? Paddington, baby, it's going to be the movie of the year.
See, Trap was fine compared to all this shit that I haven't even seen yet, but I know exactly what it is. So anyway, that's it. Bye, guys.
Okay. Hold on a second. Should I throw you guys just a curveball live on the air and just throw the entire script out of the window?
Do it. The Braves lost 10-0 tonight. Do it.
All right then. Well, crap. Oh shit! Really? Are you kidding me? Okay, well, we can't do the curveball tonight. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow night. There'll be a little preview for you guys over at 01, and it's only because apparently these jerk-offs did not save any of my stuff, which really, really irritates the crap out of me for some weird reason. But we'll get to that one on another show. So that's everything that we have going on here. I want to thank all of you guys for joining me here on the show. Quick little shout out to all you people, Neozoic, Vanya, Leslie, Spencer, Cassie, Alex, Top Dog, Big Ol' Meds, Doba Fett, Maurice, DK, JEC, Rooftop Korean, Eternal, Tim, and the rest of the good folks here on the chat. Thank you very much for joining us on here. I'll go ahead and bid you adieu with our outro. Adios, good night, see you later, goodbye, and we're out. Bye-bye.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out! You get the hell out!
Stop everything a minute. Okay, never mind. We're actually going to throw a curveball here. Instead of making you guys watch two bad movies on Friday night, here's what we're going to do. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to do a movie night on Friday night. How about that? Does that make you guys a lot happier that I won't have to force you to watch two bad movies you don't want to watch anyway?
Yes.
So here's everything that's on the list, except for Tremors, because I did not have time to change that one yet, because we already watched that one already. But outside of that, we have Lionheart, Halloween 3, Live from Baghdad, Hard Times, Used Cars, Ghost World, Notorious, Attack of the Killer, Green Tomatoes, I believe that is, Small Soldier. So one of these 9 movies we're going to watch on Friday. So let's spin the wheel.
And it's Tremors.
Right. That'd be so funny.
That would be fun.
Spending the fact that we spent like 2 years and never landed on it.
Oh, no, not Ghost World again. Used Cars. Okay.
Yes, so we'll be watching the 1980s film Used Cars on Friday night. So that will be on Twitch, Rumble, and on X. That is a Friday night thing that we'll be doing here. So I spared you. You're welcome. There you go. So, you know what? Let's just abruptly end the show. Good night, everybody.